Wait, rook takes d5? Did he just miss that? Rook e1?
Yeah, rook takes d5, rook takes e7.
Great, and then like
Yeah,
black is getting to d3.
yeah, that's correct. Rook takes d5 here.
Takes d5. Vidit might have just gotten a slight bailout to keep this match within a 3-game striking distance.
At the end of that line, I'll play rook e6 check, king drops back, rook.
That's it. Yeah, rook e6 intermezzo is
then
key.
then rook e5. So it's still, but it seems like the best try. Check, bishop. Oh, this is done.
Okay. Oh,
Bishop
bishop
e4
e4.
check. Game
Oh, Wesley smiles. Vidit shakes his head. Birthday boy's happy with all the presents coming his way on this Speed Chess Championship Tuesday. This is the Speed Chess Championship, the last week of the quarterfinals, so we can find out who's going to be in the finals weekend, the semis and the finals going down December 1st and 2nd. So reminding all of those just tuning in of what you're watching here, and let's dive into the X's and O's of this game here.
I'm curious, Danny. This is USA against India. This must be two of the biggest fan bases online. Do you know stats if there are more maybe Indians watching right now, or more? And actually, Wesley's originally from the Philippines. It's
Right.
another really big market.
No, it's a great point.
I wonder who has home field advantage.
Right. I don't know what the live stats are. We all know that GM Joey has 1 million followers. But no, we know that India is actually second to the United States as far as active members on Chess.com.
Okay.
So chess is growing in India would be an understatement, and a lot of activity. So yeah, Vidit has a huge fan base, a huge following. The Philippines they're in the top 15, I think, because I don't know the numbers off the top of my head, but you're right. They are also a very active playing community on Chess.com. So, and you can see it whenever you post an article about Wesley So, you see the comment sections filled up with Filipino members. And
yeah. Okay.
so here comes some compensation to the C file.
The chatters, tell, they can post some emotes.
That's right. Yeah, I guess the chat can let us know who the favorite is. So black is going to have some troubles dealing with the dark squares here and the potential relocation of this knight, maybe to b3 and into c5. That where the long-term compensation for this pawn might be.
If white can establish that blockade, sure. I think the critical line here is c5 right away, and it goes, c5, queen d7, bishop d7. It's this e6 move that Vidit is concerned about, because otherwise, there's the bishop on d7 can go to b5, and you can start maybe making some progress. It all revolves around c5 for sure. It's like when you're up a pawn, you have to make your opponent feel it, and
Right.
black's not doing that unless he gets in c5. Otherwise, the knight on d4 is a fantastic blockader.
No, it's a great point. You're up a pawn, but it's not the pawn, but how you use it. If he doesn't get c5, exactly. We've got this very clear positional plan for a good knight versus a bad bishop scenario.
Yeah, that line c5, queen d7, bishop d7, e6. You can't take the knight on d4 because the line e d7, rook c1, rook c1, and in the end there's this rook c8 move that's very annoying.
Very
when
nice.
Everything's hanging, and that's unfortunate.
I'm showing that line on the analysis board as fast as I can to keep up with the lightning fast calculation of Grandmaster Eric Hansen. So yeah, so that's a line that Vid is calculating. But does he on e6 have the move you initially suggested? Bishop e5? Yeah. And he does it faster than I can highlight it. Knight takes f5, and we've got this interesting race.
F4 right now. F4. This looks. I don't think this. When I take on g5, I'm threatening knight e7 check. The bishop on f1 will be hanging, and c5 is hanging. Somehow the tactics don't feel right for black. Black had a stable advantage, and now this has turned into a mess. And I think Wesley's actually gonna. Knight e7 and the bishop on f1 are both. So this is not what he was hoping for, but
Hoping to maybe
So
save a
solid.
draw now with this move bishop
Yeah.
c4, right? Might get this
And,
obstacle bishop ending.
and the king is going to slide over to uh, f8 towards the center. So at least they can quickly rush over to d6, protect the pawn on c5, and then he's going to go for this e6 pawn. So on a really good day, if black can maintain the c5 and d5 pawns, he's got still good chances because, I mean, connected passers are the most dangerous, formation. So king e7. Maybe I underestimated what Vidit has done here because at least now there's no more tactics to worry about.
Right.
You know what you're going to do. Bring your king towards the center, win the e6 pawn, and push the pawns.
Yeah, this actually looks like very good drawing chances for black, and maybe more. I mean, if you manage to get the e6 pawn cleanly,
Right.
you're still left with two passers.
You need the connected pass pawn, so rook c1 now.
I think this might be where we see it end, right?
Yeah. So Wesley found some accurate moves. I mean, king e7, you can still go king e7. He's worried about rook b6, and maybe he doesn't see progress. But after rook b6, maybe we can just ignore that and play d4. I'm not. Why repeat? Why can't you play king e7? Huh?
I'm showing that on the analysis board, and I tend to agree with you because now e6 is under attack from the bishop as well, and these two pawns are very fast. Okay, well, we'll find out in the long run. Maybe somebody will quote that in the news report tomorrow faster than you and I can do a full obstacle bishop endgame audit. But I agree with you. Looks like maybe Vidit missed a chance, but I guess a peaceful result with the black pieces to start the match isn't the worst thing that could happen for young Mr. Gujarati.
That's right. That was he's got to be happy with his opening there. That was as what you wanted as black. You know, I was in the Olympiad. I was hoping to get rid of some of the rust and everything, but I didn't actually get many end games, so I can't comment on the end games. I didn't survive. I didn't survive till the second time control in half my games. So I'm happy that we avoided the end game in that previous one because I haven't made it to the end game.
Hey, you have to make. I don't even remember how to spell end game half the time. You know, yeah, you're right. I lose in the middle game most of the time. So. But all right, we've got another sharp line, another opening that, based on the speed of the players, suggests this is.
Well, this looks like a great Grunfeld unless there's something.
Yeah, unless there's something with knight b6 coming. I feel like black is establishing a knight on d5, and this d4 pawn is isolated.
This is a great opening, isolated pawn. Yeah, for sure. Yeah. Knight b6 just helps me. I play rook a7. I'm threatening bishop takes f3, and the bishop on c7 is falling. So. Wesley has a lot of good options here, but this is a very pretty Grunfeld. I must say, knight d5, knight d7.
Yeah. I'm not sure exactly what happened out of that opening there. Perhaps Wesley surprising Vidit to some degree.
I'd like to go knight c5, but when black takes, I'm not sure I can get away with taking with the d pawn because b2 falls. But then, okay, he's doing it anyways. The knight's not doing anything on a4.
So he's going to take with the rook instead, but
even though it looks optically good for black, and I think black is fine, I'm not sure how much more than that it is. So it depends if Wesley's ambitious here, because at the same time, white will double on the c file. Maybe the a6 pawn will be a target, and maybe a piece is going to hop into e5 and just try to harass it a little bit.
If minor pieces come off the board, makes it easier for white to deal with a positional weakness like an isolated pawn.
For sure. And white's king is better equipped for
a quick penetration into the center of the endgame. It's always funny that sometimes games like this are lost quickly based on a big simplification, and you forget that one king is just much more active than the other. You got to be careful about that. Ooh, well, we have a pawn.
We have a pawn.
E7 fails to b2, and I think black is getting away with something.
Black is very happy with that, because then you're going to have the outside pass pawn, and you can easily imagine a6, a5, a4, and then some sort of like b3. As long as you have that diagonal, you have the right pieces to help support that pawn, rook on the a file. So Vidit here might be considering b3 and just saying, okay, I'm down a pawn, but I'm not going to give you that outside passer.
It's a great point, right? Evaluating e7 for b2 is not an equal trade because it gives black this potential 2-on-1. And okay, well, as we say that, he decides that he'd rather. Maybe he's got ideas of bishop d6 with, not right away because I think rook d8 would be a skewer. But something where the bishop comes to d6, and maybe he uses the bishop pair to attack on the king side as compensation for black's 2-on-1.
I think definitely that's the case. Wants to put the knight off of b6, plant the bishop on c4, and maybe bring the other rook to the d file, and just. But getting the bishop to c4 is a good achievement. So I think Vidit, I like what he's done. It's the active counterplay, right? And in Blitz, it's very annoying to deal with like active bishops, rooks on the 7th. So rook d1 now. Maybe there's something else as well. Maybe bishop b4 does work here, although I haven't calculated it. Bishop d6. Bishop d6.
Yeah, I was gonna say now maybe you can get away with it. What's Wesley's tactics in mind? Bishop d6, forking f8 and b4. If rook d8, bishop b4, you can move the bishop on d4 with a discovery, but in the end of a lot of lines, your knight on b6 is hanging.
Yes, exactly. So I think bishop d6 is possible, although moves like rook d1 are still tempting, but okay. Just a natural move. Maybe he wasn't even calculating it. He was just assuming that it didn't work because in previous lines it was messy. I think white has good compensation here. I don't know, somehow the coordination for black is lacking. The rooks aren't active yet, and this bishop on c5 is being booted around.
Knight a4. Wow, that's an interesting way to defend the bishop on c5.
Yeah, wants to put the knight on c3 and then push the a pawn.
Yeah, that's. I wonder if that's a move that Vidit missed, to be honest, because
now, I think so.
Yeah.
I think black wants to achieve that anyways, blocking the c file and also improving the knight on b6. It was always a target.
Right. So he gets your bishop to c4, as you said. It gangs up on f7, and white would love to be able to get this second rook into the 7th rank.
Right. So let's say knight c3, rook e1.
Right.
And then you, but if you're not running, you're not going to e7.
Yeah. I'm with you. I think white still has some pressure with the bishop pair, but feels like if black gets the knight to c3, we have a mini win here for black, and this 2-on-1 becomes much more scary. I like this though. What are the outside chances I drive the h pawn? Harry gets to h5, Eric, and then I do something nasty on the h file.
Yeah, very good. h5. No, that looks good because Wesley's playing with fire this game.
Yeah.
I mean, even though he's up a pawn, his pieces are all loose here. His rooks, he's playing without his rooks right now, and I mean, you can only do that for so long. So what happens here if I? Okay, I don't have time.
I kind of like rook b5. I feel like I want to keep pieces on the board here if I'm white.
That's practically that makes a lot of sense.
Okay.
Rook b5. Yeah. Well, then you're threatening moves like bishop b3, targeting the knight on a4 and the bishop on c5. So it comes with a concrete threat. And h4, h5 looks really good. Maybe h4, g4. Use these bishops. It looks like black's a long way off from getting the pawns on the queen side anywhere. So I think at this point you don't even need to worry. You're not looking for compensation. You already have the compensation, and you don't need to look more than that.
Yeah, I'm with you. This is
bishop.
Seems very tricky for black to unwind. Now this knight on a4 is, I mean, there's a simple threat like bishop b3, right?
Bishop b3. Yeah, the king on f3 is very safe here. The rooks can't get anywhere to harass it, whereas black's king on g8 it's just the two bishops for white are ready to say hello.
Yeah.
h4, h5. I think that's one of those easy moves to play in blitz that might be pretty effective.
Right.
But of course, as you mentioned, bishop b3 is threatening just to win a piece.
Bill Cooper, gold member in the Chess TV Chess, says any normal player would mess this up as black, and it is. I agree. I think Vidit has been very mature in his approach with the two bishops and kind of the long-term compensation, but Wesley is super accurate. So yeah, bishop f8. That's a nice move. Now he can get the knight in. Mm-hmm. This might be the safest way for black to hold. Right, just give back the pawn. Obstacle bishop ending. Now I have better drawing chances.
We're talking about Wesley here. He's got to be one of the best guys in the world at neutralizing an opponent's pressure, not even edge pressure. He just senses that and he's like, I'm getting the heck out of here.
Right.
And he's done that very effectively. Now he's totally safe opposite bishops. Yeah, they might even agree to a draw here.
Yep. No, you make a great point about Wesley along the lines of Bill Cooper's comment, and you know, we've as you and I have heard among the top players when they talk, when you hear them talk about each other, right? And not to say exactly where this quote has come from, but we've both heard a lot of comparisons from Wesley to just playing so much like a computer, right? It's just because of the way he prepares, the way he
Yeah.
pushes himself to calculate and kind of be skeptical a lot of whether tactics work for his opponents. And like you said, there he's feeling the pressure very similar to Stockfish, and is like, you know what, I'll just give back material and talk a little bit about that. Wesley's ability to kind of remain objective and what makes him like such a cold-hearted calculator.
Yeah, I mean, it does. It's a special Wesley thing. I mean, I
Probably
would
only
say he's a bit
Magnus
more
maybe does it at the same level as him in some ways, as far as like hardcore
right.
calculation.
That's right. But unlike Magnus, like Magnus sometimes plays moves that are bad, or he knows they're bad, and he like Wesley's a bit more risk adverse,
Right.
and he just can't. He's programmed himself. No, I'm. That's
Program
not a
himself.
good
I
move.
like
I
that
can't
word. He
play.
can't program himself to do that. Whereas Magnus will purposely play a move that he
Yeah,
knows is sort of drawing on his opponent to
yeah,
maybe make a mistake, despite the fact that objectively, you
yeah.
know,
So it's a plus and negative. You'll
yeah,
hear the critics; they'll give their perspective because if it's a draw, it's a draw.
right,
But on the other hand, Wesley loses less games than most of his colleagues as well
right.
because of that approach.
Well, shout out to Liquid Egg Product, who made our first donation here that went directly to the prize fund. We also had some other bits donated. Sorry about that earlier, but thank you to everyone. It's something I haven't even
Yeah.
mentioned yet in today's match. Of course, all proceeds, all donations, all bits, and any purchases from the merch store today go directly to the prize fund of the players. So if you're feeling
Yeah.
frisky and you need a Chess.com coffee mug, I got to send you one, Eric.
Yes,
Today,
please,
today
please.
it goes
I'd
to the
like
players.
you can. It has to be in person though. In person delivery. I'm. You're like the milk delivery guy. I want Danny at my front door.
If I show up at your door carrying, like, bearing gifts of Firkinsens, sorry, that was, I made myself laugh. Of whatever that is, frankincense and gold, is that it? I don't know.
I don't. I
If I
don't know.
show up bearing gifts of coffee mugs, then uh, that would be fun.
You would be a good pizza delivery guy. Very
I'd get
social,
involved in
friendly face.
too many nefarious situations, I would imagine. They'd ask me to pick up some things on the way. You know me, I can't say no, can't make people
No.
unhappy, child of divorced parents. Before you know it,
But think
I'm in
about
some
all the
bad spots.
accents you could pull off,
Oh
all the
man. Oh, you're right.
pretty
That
stuff.
could be fun.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, well, back to Wesley being white. Still no decisive results in this match. The opposite of Duda Grishuk right now.
I want to mention one thing about Wesley
Yep.
is despite some of the things we talked about at the Olympiad, his games against lower rated players, he just ran them over, and they're very, very instructional to see how a top player dismantles,
Right.
like someone lower rated, like someone like me. But so he was in those games, he had this he did go pretty, he did have this out for blood
No, that's a
approach.
good point. Who do you think some of the best top players are to follow as far as that, the way they're able to dismantle lower rated players? I think Hikaru for a long time was one of those guys who just, his games
Yeah.
against lower rated players were so much more instructive than anybody against anybody in his peer group, because he just has a way of exposing weaknesses of that next lower tier GM. But who would you say are some instructive games to follow on that note?
Geary and so Geary Anish is very good at these
Yeah.
team events too. He had a high drawing rate against some top players, but once you bump him down a little bit, he just farms. He was.
Yeah.
I saw him with a smile every single day, pretty much.
Right.
Even at the urinal, I think he was just thinking about how much rating he's gaining from beating. I saw him in the battle, just like he just beats all the 2600s.
Right.
They do not have the defense of guys like Vichy or Magnus or something. So I think Anish, a lot of the solid players are not so solid when you play them.
Right, when you give them somebody they can
balance.
Yeah, they can be a little more aggressive against. So, all right, well, Vidit once again holding his own, and also one pattern. We're now 3 games in, so we can maybe feel like we have the legs to point out our first pattern. Time management hasn't really been an issue for either player. These guys have been, it feels to me, within 20 or 30 seconds of each other in every game. So we'll see if that repeats. And I think Wesley, in some ways, may be a faster calculator, but if Vidit comes prepared to be fast on the Chess.com interface, that could be a very important point for the match.
Yep.
The Rook B2, I'm liking black again, Eric.
I think no, for sure. I think Vidit is getting play good positions.
Yeah.
But he's gonna have to convert these. I think it's very important to get in Wesley's head early. Get that
Right.
win, earn some of that respect there, because he's gotten good positions, and you don't get that every day against Wesley, especially in the opening. I mean, Wesley's been playing e4, right? He could play d4, c4, and make things a little more solid. So I think he's got to take advantage of these imbalances.
Well, what an interesting maneuver there by Wesley, right? It's almost like Vidit played these optically easy moves, rooks to the open file, and the bishop relocates from a2, giving up the f7 diagonal to c2. I kind of like this plan from Wesley, and now I have moves like knight c4 coming. I've got tricks with e. Oh, yeah. I was wondering if he could do it, and he does.
Yeah.
The point, everyone, is there's this battery poking at the h7 spot, and if you trade on e5 and the queen takes it, you have knight c4 at the end, forking the queen and the rook. So is e5 just game over? Is that our first blunder of the match? Look at that.
That looks like it, because after knight c4, I don't see how I protect the material. I had just had the weirdest thing. I felt like this was deja vu.
Yeah?
Yes, deja vu. This exact position. I don't know if you ever get that in chess, but I feel like we've talked about this position before.
I get deja vu in terms of blunders all the time in my sleep.
It's
we just had some bits thrown out for my Firkin sense and go. I don't know. I'm sorry. I don't know why that made me laugh so much, but thank you for all those making fun of my whatever. I need a little more coffee apparently, but all right. No, e5. I love it, and as much as we were just touting Vidit's approach, I feel like we were right to criticize these optically, superficially good rook moves, but they weren't very good for putting the rooks on the b file.
So take on c2 here.
You have to, right?
White takes on f6, I take on d2 and just try to bail out.
Down the exchange.
You have to.
Yeah.
Because he's getting low in time. He's got to make that decision. I think everything else looks worse, actually. And that's a practical choice. At least you got the pawn, outside pass pawn, and the bishop. It's not enough, but
right.
I mean, he's facing just like getting mated here or down a piece. So
very instructive comments there from Grandmaster Eric Hansen. For those of you who are here to learn things, just how quickly strong players recognize the writing on the wall, and then you remove yourself from the emotion or the frustration that you blundered if you're Vidit, and recognize you have to make the best practical exchange sacrifice. And I think keeping this bishop that Eric pointed out is probably the best one, because it gives you the best chance to hold the a pawn. So anyway, just very important that I think a lot of players miss their chances after they blunder, Eric, to immediately simplify, and then so one blunder leads to another, right? But strong players don't get as emotional about their blunders, maybe because they've made so many, but it makes them stronger now.
I feel like that. I feel like it's helped that I've blundered so many times in my life that I'm desensitized.
Right.
Especially in Blitz, though. There's a lot of perfectionists who play chess, but in Blitz, everyone blunders, and you just have to.
Wow, look at this move, Rook E1. I feel like that's a very strong.
Rook E1 is very strong, and it doesn't help that Vidit spent so much time looking for an alternative that he just won't have any resistance here. This is over. Maybe Queen E4.
Yeah, Queen E4 looks good.
Sorry, Queen E4 C3 is hanging. I forgot. I thought the Queen on C6 was.
And I thought we could take on E8 if Knight C3, but I forgot he could take with the Queen. So yeah. Okay, so not Queen E4, but I mean, Ooh, Rook takes A4. Why not? If Rook takes, there was Rook takes.
Just Queen takes A4 in the end. The knight on D5 is hanging.
Ah, okay.
Yeah.
Okay, one last little trick there from Vidit, poking at G2. White says no, thank you. And
C4, push them.
C4, push them, baby. And yeah, we have our first decisive result. Almost like you and I. Or I'll make it personal that I applied a little bit of a commentator's jinx in that game. The moment I felt like I was being vocal about my my confidence in the way Vidit had played the position as black and the B file, I think we were right to say black was doing well, but this sort of underestimating of the bishop relocating to that new diagonal and this tactical shot of E5, I think fair to say we had our first blunder of the match there. I think Vidit just completely missed this idea.
Mm-hmm. Yep. I mean, that was the drawback of such the rook being on B2, so active, but also prone to these little tactics,
right?
Especially the knight.
Yep. Yeah, getting a lot of comments about Vidit's name. For those wondering, this is the correct spelling and pronunciation of Vidit Gujarathi's name, as he told us personally. And whether FIDE has it or not, you heard it here. What you're seeing is not a typo, and so maybe now you can tell your friends when they say Gujarati, you're like, it's Gujarati. So you're welcome. You learned something. All right. Vidit needs to strike back. He's got the white pieces.
These players are both Catalan addicts. They play both sides of it. Vidit played against Canada, against Berev, and there was some weird Catalan where he sacked a piece or something for 3 pawns. And These guys just live off this.
Wesley sticking the tongue out there. That was sorry, that got my attention.
I
That was,
did. I didn't see that. Do you have a? Oh, okay.
someone's got to get. He just went Jordan on us.
I need to. I need to put the cams on. I
Maybe
don't
he's
always.
maybe he's already thinking about that birthday cake, Eric. Maybe Lotus has got a birthday cake prepared for him after the match. I would bet at 25, Wesley's more likely to have a birthday cake than a beer at his birthday. Am I fair to say that?
That's very possible. But I think maybe Vidit just tastes good. That piece.
There you
that
go,
last
right? Yeah,
game,
he's
I
licking
think
licking his lips, right?
when I think of the tongue sticking out, I think of Jabba the Hutt
There you go.
from
That's,
Star
by the way,
Wars,
that's
and he's good
I will now never think of anything else. Thank you for that visual.
because he really, yeah,
He really defined the sticks. Yeah, Gulamali rises in the Chess TV chat saying what he wishes the players had their mics on. He wants to hear them laughing, but that would be too many chefs in the kitchen in these shows. So stick around for the interviews, and you'll get your player voices. But thanks to everyone, whether you're joining us via Chess.com or the Twitch chat. Appreciate all nearly 2,000 of you being here. All the bits and donations we've already had going to the prize fund, and the day has just begun. All right.
Watch out for King F7, trapping the rook. Is this so? E4 can be played. You can play E4.
Only move really.
Only, well, yeah, looked like it was, but now
Wesley plays.
I like
F4.
it. Wesley's getting compensation now.
Yeah.
Again, renewing the threat of King F7. That's a neat move. That
Very
is
nice.
So if you take on F4, I can just take back with the bishop, hitting. If I take back with the bishop, then you have Rook C6 in the end.
Rook C6, and
Hard to
White
figure
is
that
barely holding on to everything. But you're pointing out really just how awkward this position is for White. The bishop is pinned to the rook. On E6 is sort of wandered too far. King F7 was not trapping the rook last move. E. Lindauer. By the way, shout out to Eric. How you doing, E. Lindauer? Because if King F7 on the last move, White could have taken on F5 and protected the rook. So no, it was not. But now Vidit is barely holding on.
Let's play Bishop C5. Can I get any counterplay? With Bishop C5, I want to play F3 check and Rook F8 because the bishop on C1 is pinned and it can't block that. So Bishop C5 preparing. But maybe after Bishop C5, you can just take on F4 with the G pawn and say, like, okay, I'm just up a bunch of pawns. Something about Bishop C5 tickles my fancy here. Bishop C5, G takes F4, and I need a move like Rook E1, Rook E2, but can I get it in time? Because I'm just trying to play against the pinned bishop on C1, the awkward rook on E6. I don't want to trade pieces. I want to use my two rooks and bishop while they have pretty much a free shot, and that's against the king, against White's king.
And in this line, everyone should note that that's probably why White can't play moves like Bishop B2 to defend the rook on A1 and get out of the pin, because immediately moves like Rook D2 are forks of the F2 and B2 bishop. So
let's Bishop C5. Play it fast.
I like this.
Bit it in time trouble. Could just be very over optimistic though.
Yeah, Bishop C5 seems like the most straightforward response. Not exactly sure what Wesley's calculating here.
He's looking at moves like F3, I'm envisioning, and then Bishop C5, maybe looking at the move order, because right. Otherwise, what is he thinking about? Bishop F8?
So yeah, there's threats of Rook F8 in those lines, but I think White has King E2 just in time. So that's why F3 probably isn't as good as Bishop C5. But Wesley leaning in now, very focused.
I'm actually, like I said, Bishop C5, then I waited a minute. I was hoping to see like a comment from Hammer. I'm trying to find I'm trying to steal his comments. I'm trying to find some strong players commenting in the chat, and then steal their moves.
Yeah, sometimes we got to do that.
Claim it for myself.
All right. Well, I'm surprised by So's long think. This is, to my recollection, game 4. First time we've seen more than a minute off the clock on a single move by Wesley. Really wants to make sure he doesn't let Vidit off the hook here. A chance for a 2-game lead in the match is worth thinking about.
What is he sees something. What is in Wesley's head right now? Because Bishop C5 is too easy. He's trying to calculate something. Is he
Maybe he's worried. I mean, maybe bishop c5, g takes f4. I mean, we talked about the goals, but yeah, we're getting it now on the board.
He might, maybe my variation will be played. Okay, this is trying to stop, for example, moves like king f3.
Uh-huh.
b3 is also hanging. This makes some sense. I guess maybe this is what he was calculating. Bishop c5 was the easy move. It was the follow-up. How do I
Right. He
continue?
hits
Because now I'm down 2
b3.
pawns.
He keeps the king trapped. Note, everyone, we still have issues with the move bishop b2 because of this constant fork. So sort of, you've kind of given up on the idea of trapping the rook in this line, Eric, right? Because now
Yep.
c6 is safe, and so we're never worried about that if we're Vidit. But
Yeah,
Wesley kind of playing for the long-term pressure here.
well, I'm wondering what happens after like b4 here. Can white just start
Sacrificing to get developed.
Yeah, also b6 will be hanging
Yeah.
if I
I
take,
like it.
and I might even lose a piece in some lines, but I've won 2 pawns, and if I win a third pawn and my pawns start rolling down, then I'll give up the piece.
He brings the rook to c6. Not a bad idea at all. It frees up Eddie the Eagle here on e5, and
Yeah, for example, bishop d4 would be a horrible move here because I can just play rook a2. Then my bishop on c1 is actually protected by this rook on c6.
right. And suddenly it's white who's.
Oh, never mind. It's not a horrible move because Wesley played it. So let me
Well, it
figure
may
that out.
still be. I think rook a2 actually looks really simple.
But maybe he didn't have. Maybe he
I think
misplayed it.
I think he just missed it. I think it was a blunder for blunder because you were right. And now there's threats of e6 and watch out for black getting mated here.
Yeah, no, this definitely isn't the compensation I was envisioning, but
a5 was surprising, but again, e6 is a pretty obvious move that threatens mate on rook c8, and just brings the pawn 2 steps closer to becoming a lady. She's got dreams.
there's this funny move: rook takes a5, rook c3, rook c3. I'm hitting c1.
I think that Vidit just missed that.
Yes.
Oh my gosh! And you can see the head shanking, and much as I hate the blunder for Vidit, it's nice when we were right. This has been a very interesting turn of events here. I think it's fair to say that Wesley indeed missed rook a2, but e6 is I think this was a completely winning option on the analysis board.
So I'm going to play rook d6 now. Rook d6, rook c takes c1, and just rook a takes a6, and play that position.
Okay.
So you have 2 pawns for a piece. At least you have your rooks active, and your king is maybe going to sprint to like e4 or something. So
yeah, from a practical point of view, you might have either a draw or a mating net.
I have a lot of experience right now because I blundered a lot, so I had to deal with this. No, if you notice, I've been at least very quick to identify.
Right.
You know what, he blundered.
Right.
Find a bailout, because that's all I've been doing for the last 2 weeks. So at least, yeah, this is very, very comfortable territory for me. Yeah, rook c takes c1.
There's even this idea of rook d5. Yeah, I was going to say rook d5 keeps everything.
Oof.
Does that almost promise white a draw if you play rook
d5, rook c4? Yeah, doesn't. I'm not sure if it's a forced one, but black should be very worried about that. Rook a to d5. I like it.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
Rook c4, maybe then e6, or maybe we start checking, or we can play f5 first, pawn to f5, because you're still pinned, completely pinned.
Rook g1 gets out of the tempo, but now maybe rook takes a6. Your initial point that no, he's going for pressure instead. But
you're gonna play f5 here, f5, try to put him in a box.
Feels like the only move. He does it.
I think bishop e7, and there's no way to make progress. You're never playing e6 because my king goes to f6, and otherwise.
Yep.
Yeah. No, I think Wesley will be fine coming out of this one. Rook c5 maybe.
If that holds up, then we are looking at a 2-game lead. A match that started out very equal has quickly had a lot of blunders played by Vidit in the last 2 games. He's shaking his head, frustrated. Definitely let this one slip, and if he had just a few moves back, I think white had a lot of winning chances.
So if king f3, what is he worried about? Rook g5, just picking up the f5 pawn. I mean, yeah, Vidit. Though pawns on f5 and e5, unfortunately, they look good there, but they can't push anywhere. So
right.
not the compensation ran out. Yeah, that was a weird game.
Yeah,
that was a weird game because Wesley was in trouble, and then like he took a lot of time, didn't find the right moves, and then he was just down a full pawn. Then Vidit hangs a piece, and then yeah. So
Well, I mean,
far,
you worry a
both
little bit
players.
about, for the first time, it's early, but a little bit of a tilt here. Losing two is one thing, but now you're with the black pieces, and this is a big moment, big game right here.
Hmm.
You're trying to avoid one of these, a Vidit tilt. There you go. Um,
Yeah, I don't know Vidit well enough to know if he's a guy who tilts a lot. I know everyone pretty much tilts, but
yeah.
how he approaches blunders
Apparently,
and
these guys got some sort of memo I wasn't aware of that this is a Catalan themed opening match, not just
no,
a
these
speed
guys
chess
these
match.
guys really do live off the Catalan.
Yep.
Really, really two of the best Catalan players in the world, and they play it more frequently than a lot of even 2700s. So
Yep.
it's,
Well, again, Black is doing fine out of the first stage. We were touting Vidit's opening before the last game slipped away, and when you're in a positive frame of mind, you always want to shape things as a chess player psychologically to make you convince yourself that there's still hope always, and you got to say, well, I've had a couple of really good positions, and I just need to wake up tactically and stop blundering. Right? That's the storyline. If you're Vidit, if you're Wesley, you're like, well, I haven't even played my best chess yet, and somehow I'm up 2 games. So both sides trying to keep themselves in the right state of mind early in the match.
yeah, I mean the last match we did was Aroni and Giri, but Levon has an ability to switch gears and play very aggressively. I wonder in this match who's going to be the first player to start playing in a different style or mixing things up because
Yep.
Vidit and So in sense are both pretty classical players and
Yep.
they're happy playing a match like this. So, but if he's down 2 games and it's not working out, even if the positions he's getting are okay, if he's just blundering them, you might still need to just switch.
Right.
You're getting okay positions, but then
But
somehow
but you're
you're
right.
just
It's the tempo of the match, right? You have to change
not.
change the feel, change the vibe. You're right, Walruski. We will look into whether we've spelled Wesley So's last name correctly. Great point. Um, all right. Well, now Wesley seems to have turned the tables a little bit because you have Black focused on defending kind of the only weakness on the board of
Yeah.
C5. White has the D file.
What is the default? I mean, very
Yeah.
minimal advantage here. And if Black plays the right moves, she should be fine coming out of this. But yeah, there's a small amount.
Well,
What
White trying to prevent Black from simplifying there. Now a move like Rook D8 would allow a big trade and C5 falls. So
it's
Wesley
like what
trying
they
to
say in
squeeze a little
books,
bit of water out of the stone here.
a symbolic advantage, as they
Symbolic,
say in
yeah.
the books.
I like
Like
that.
it
Is that a is
looks.
that a technical term? Symbolic advantage?
I read it in some chess books
Yeah.
when they try to say it like looks better, but it's not.
Sounds like a
Uh,
John Nunnism. I don't know. Maybe
may-
not.
may-
All right. Well, yeah. Wesley does have a symbolic advantage. Black is kind of struggling for a plan, as you said, if that's what that
right.
means.
But the D file is even though it's in white
Right.
has control. The D file doesn't. There are no entry squares, and both sides have a weakness on C4, C5, and it's not like one is okay. C5 one is on a dark square, but otherwise,
If Black could, he would love to just quickly transfer through the D7 square to come to either B6 or E5, right? And there's your
Mhm.
weakness on C4. But again, the more we look at this, the more we're like, yes, it's only symbolic, but Black can't bring the knight to the side of the board that he wants it. He can't challenge the D file. He's worried about playing moves like A5, probably because of moves like A4, and now you've got 2 pawns stuck on dark square. So you're right. Maybe there's a little more here for White than I thought.
Well, I mean, I said symbolic. Maybe it's more than that, but it felt like the way he handled the opening was fine. So I just b believed in Black's position. I think he's wondering right now whether he can play A5 and the consequences of A5, A4. I mean, if Black plays A5, White plays A4, is the B file worth something, or is putting another pawn on a dark square just like a
Right. Well, I think it
mistake?
would be if you could play Rook B8 or Rook B6, but Rook B8 hangs A5, and
There's also like maybe I play E5, E4 right now. Maybe I try to play
uh,
G5 because even though yeah, it looks nice for
you
White.
know what? I was wrong about that line. If A4, Eric, Rook B8 can be played because Knight A5 is met by Rook A6, and the Knight is
Yes,
trapped.
the knight is trapped,
Okay,
and
I didn't.
that's I guess what he was figuring out.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, that could be huge for Vidit, who had to use about a minute on the clock, actually almost 2 minutes on that move. Wesley sees what Vidit's up to, says, I'm not Not going to blunder away the b file. But now the knight is
Rook,
pinned.
rook, yeah,
Okay, so
yeah. I wonder.
some counterplay here for Mr. Gujarati.
It feels like black should be fine. A4, knight, D2. I mean, he consider playing rook C to B6 as well,
I like
right?
that move.
Because
Keep
the
the b
knight.
file
Okay.
challenged.
But this way, he can also play rook C B6 after. Yeah, we have that. And
Yeah.
what is Wesley going to do? Take rook B1.
Okay,
Yes.
big simplification
The
coming.
rook B4. Maybe rook B4 just to provoke A3, and that pawn is on a dark
I
square. I
also
don't
like
know.
knight d7. Okay, he doesn't go for that. I thought maybe make him trade and bring my knight to
Mm-hmm.
this square of c4, but he goes with your plan.
Knight,
Down
knight
knight
C3,
d7.
knight C3, knight B6.
I
Well,
see.
this could be a little annoying. Black's king is going to go to C6,
And
defending
suddenly the
C5.
tables have turned, right? And c4 is the easier target than c5. And Wesley kind of giving a little bit of a shake head there, nod.
Well, he was really relaxed, but yeah, if the position actually wasn't so good, he probably should have considered what if my opponent does go for some active counterplay. I like this knight on B6. Bring the king to C6 and try to get your dark squared bishop on this A1 to H8 diagonal, where it can harass the A3 pawn. Vidit is on the better side here.
Yeah. As soon as the king gets here, everyone, you free up the bishop from its defensive duties so it can start
Yeah.
aggressive duties. That was kind of the point Eric was highlighting there, and this is good
Mhm.
endgame technique. Your self-deprecating evaluations of your endgame play, or I won't let you get away with it. Eric is a very strong endgame player, although Canada not necessarily known for their endgame technique. You want to talk about that?
Well, I was thinking about what you're referring to. We're not known for our endgame technique. Yasser likes to talk about that. But if people, a friend might get mad at me for this. If you look at the final round of the Olympiad, Evgeny Bureyev,
Uh-huh.
our best technical player by far, found one of the most painful self-mates you'll ever see.
Oh, I
Uh,
did see that game. That hurt. Self-mating yourself
and
in the end game
and
is
and and it was sort of an end game, and I was wondering if you were referring to that because
no, I was
um,
honestly just having fun with you because you and I have joked about that on shows previously.
but it's going to be one in the history books.
Yeah,
That's it's the one blunder you sort of make that you're going to be in the history books, the tactic books for forever.
yeah.
And I'm sort of a bad I thought it was
No, but you're a much stronger endgame player than me. Jokes aside, but what do you feel about this situation where now White has kind of had to overextend the pawns in order to get counterplay, and the e4 square's opened up. So I still feel like Vidit is on the better side of this, but maybe not enough for either side to really win.
It's one of those situations where when I usually see Wesley lose these is against like Magnus or someone like he's very resourceful, and as we talked about, he just doesn't lose much. So it's on the better side, but Wesley Wesley's just I just believe no matter what the evaluation is, I prefer black a little bit here. That he's going to be fine at the end of this.
Okay, knight endgame shall commence.
And now it's just
Yeah, everyone's
like no
trading.
matter what happens, Wesley always ends up in like the most drawn positions ever, right? Where now it's
Right.
like every it's two pawns each and a knight, and yeah, he's done a good job of cleaning up the board.
Yeah, and we've already said it a few times that he's got a very good nose, or just a very good, called a sixth sense of when he may have lost the thread. And unlike some strong players, he's objective enough to kind of always choose the road to simplification. So, um, I would argue that in this type of format, as long as you're on form and able to get wins here and there, that type of objectivity is very important. Prevents you from going on tilt. You're less likely to be the one who loses 2 or 3 games in a row. Which in a format where you don't really have time to take a break and emotions can get the best of you, that can really help Wesley. Not necessarily against Magnus, as everyone remembers
Yeah,
last
that's
year,
the
but
win.
sometimes
That's
when
the
someone's
win.
just better than you, that's another thing altogether, right?
Yes. So G6?
Ooh,
No,
wait,
he went for the. That makes a lot of sense. This could get a little tricky. Vidit, I'm noticing one thing. He is falling behind it on the clock
uh-huh.
later on in the games.
And now he
Is
almost needs
this?
to settle on knight g6, give up c5 for king e3. I think.
Yes. that
Okay.
works.
Ooh.
Or this.
He must have calculated the king and pawn ending.
He did.
Okay, so
He gets his king to e3.
okay, very very nice, and we will have yet another peaceful result. Mannered Monkey always coming through with the sub. That guy just loves bringing positive vibes to every chat.
Oh yeah, shout out to Matter Monkey for yeah, he's a brand new sub here. It was gifted
Well,
from
of course I know
Chess.com.
it was Chess Bay, but just
But no, Matter Monkey is definitely very well known
yeah,
in the
a friend of
community.
all Twitch chats, right? A troll of
Yes.
none, he likes to say. That's going on his gravestone. A friend of all Twitch chats, a troll of none. But all right, thank you to everyone who's here. All 5,000 of you watching the Speed Chess Championship. I feel like the match has been closer than the 2-game lead right now for Wesley, given we had a couple just big blunders back to back by Vidit. But scoreboard is the scoreboard for a reason, and Gujarati needs to strike. Maybe now's the time with the white pieces.
Absolutely.
Slight advantage here. What kind of symbology do we apply to this advantage? Right, doubled F pawns.
The Catalan Danny is I don't have a lot of positive things to say. It's a good opening, but for these positions, it's like it all looks fairly equal to me. Black has a double G pawn, F pawns, gives the king some space. It could also be a weakness. At the same time, White's got this pawn on A4. The B4 square is weak. At the end of the day, it looks very solid to me, and I'm not sure what Vidit has achieved. These guys know a bit more there than I do, but it looks fairly balanced. I mean, what about you? It just feels
the more
like
I look
Black...
at it, the more I'm liking Wesley. I
yes,
kind of joked about the F pawns because it was the first true sort of symmetrical indifference, right? It was the only thing that had changed. But no, I mean, in the endgame especially, the king is not going to become an issue. These pawns can even be mobile and very helpful to control critical squares. So, I feel like you may have foreshadowed a critical point a couple of games ago when you said that regardless of Vidit being a Catalan specialist, now that he's fallen down by a couple of games, if he doesn't change the tide quickly, then he may need to switch up the opening because this is just going to be a grinded out affair. What are the chances Wesley So ever loses a couple of games in the Catalan, right? I mean, now you're down 2 games. Now you maybe need to change it.
I agree completely. Yeah, this is. I'm always advocating for that, though. I'm in a blitz match, 3.5 hours. We're hoping to see not only the Catalan, but then mix it up a little bit.
Maybe a little bit of mix it up. But you noted
what
Wesley
else is
started
in
with
there.
E4, right? The first game was not.
He did.
And then
He
he
did.
switched back to the Catalan. So those of you just joining us, get your notebook out.
Bishop E3 is now the threat.
Right.
White would be very happy to let's say trade that bishop for the knight on C6 and get that active rook. So a couple things to solve here. I'm thinking about maybe knight B4 so I can meet bishop E3 with knight D5. Thinking about even move like rook D6 so the knight is protected on C6. But yeah, bishop E3 comes with a little bit of poison.
Highlighting that on the analysis board, I think you're right. There's also this move knight E7, perhaps using the D5 square at some point. So, right? I mean, knight E7 might meet bishop E3 with knight D5.
Yes.
So he doesn't go for that. He goes for a more straightforward.
Well, this works. So my question is, what if I take on D4 and play A5? He's just going to play. He's just going to ignore.
Then rook D3. Oh wait. Oh, you're assuming that black takes with the rook. I see. Got it.
Yeah, black takes. I'll take with the rook.
And then A5 undermines the bishop. I see.
Undermines the bishop, but maybe I can just allow everything to be traded. You might be right. Well, the reason I don't want to take with the bishop on D4 is because the move you said, rook D3.
Right.
So yeah, knight D4, rook D4, and it just looks like liquidation.
Yeah, he goes rook D3 right away, which makes sense. There's this loose thread of E3 and a pin on D7.
So let's say rook D5. I'll still play E3, and after knight takes F3, I'll trade the rooks on D5 and go for that structure. It's probably not enough though. So maybe E3, knight takes F3, rook takes D5. Yeah, I guess black wants to avoid that, although you can't.
Yeah, if we ended up getting a line like this, you would actually now be regretting the weak F pawns.
Is there some intermezzo there with like knight H4 that's available? Because E3 here.
Knight H4, maybe I even have king H3 though, right? And still have a chance to take with the king. So.
Yeah.
No, E3's looking.
That's what it's calculating. I mean, because otherwise you can go E4. Oh no! If E4, then I have knight takes F3 and this knight E1 check.
Ah, yeah, fork in the end. Okay.
So that is something to watch out for.
But did we weren't looking for b4 at all, but Wesley shakes his head. Did we just miss that? uh, shows you
I
we.
wouldn't put it past us, Danny, that once in a
I was
while
gonna say that is the funniest deep analysis you and I have ever done, where we were both just missing the obvious fact that that shows everybody that we do have the eval bar on the analysis board for the fans, but neither Eric or I are looking at engines. And as soon as b4 was played, I was like, duh, tactics trainer.
It was pure calculation. Just
Yeah.
I take there, he takes there. In the end, there's this pass pawn on the b file.
Okay, well, Vidit strikes back. All right, so there you go. We have a match. We have roughly 40 minutes left, I guess, as we prepare to head into the 3-minute portion. Shout out to everybody over the last few minutes that have joined, all the subs, all the bits going directly into the players' pockets. All right, we're back to, hey, guess what we just had? Our Wesley heard the call. The people want more than a Catalan, and Wesley is going to deliver.
Yes, they're playing this very fashionable line of the closed Spanish. But Vidit, from what I've seen in his games here, usually does pretty well. He played this against Russia at the Olympiad, and he drew very comfortably.
And he's just taking pawns with no like nobody's business. And
yeah,
I get so scared in these positions just because of the bishop pair, and feel like no matter how many pawns I win, Eric, I have b5 isolated, d5 isolated, f4 overextended. So tell us what Black has here long term.
Black has the pawn.
Okay,
White has
the
play. That is it. In some positions as Black, you want to get a pawn on g6 to stifle that diagonal, put a bishop on f6 to challenge the dark square, and bring your king to like g7. But here, White has compensation. Black has the pawn, and that is the battle. We're gonna see White try to provoke openings in the pawn structure in Black's king side, maybe queen d3. We're going to see queen d3 with pressure on h7, but also
then there's even h4 coming in a lot of positions. The knight is sort of overwhelmed to guarding. Yeah,
this in blitz, this makes sense to play as White because I mean getting compensation here and putting pressure on is a little easier than in a long game. So Wesley's choice here makes some sense.
Maybe Vidit, remembering his win, as you said, for his team versus Russia in this line, but from a practical perspective, in a rapid match, I mean, now my bishop can come to b2. More weaknesses have opened up.
Yes. Well, bishop. I'm ready to play bishop f6. It's not pretty. It still looks like a loose king, but hey, that's still a pawn. So the bishop e2, bishop f6. I don't want to trade the bishops as White, so I'm trying to look for something more. Maybe bishop b3.
Maybe you can still go for your h4 idea and then h5. Maybe Harry's not done with his plans here.
Yeah.
Right as I say that, E. Lindauer shouts out in the chat. We also had a comment earlier in the chat. Shout out to Brian Chesscake saying that MVL is like the Belgium here of the Speeches Championship, constantly making it to the semis, but always runs into Nakamura. So we'll remind all 5,500 of you that we have here, remember, this is only the first match this week, Thursday, October 11th. Be back here in 2 days as we move on to the next big match. So, Nakamura versus MVL. All right, h4 did come in.
Yeah, because he was threatening queen d4 there. And now things are going to really open up. This looks so scary to me for Black, but
here comes
d4 was a good reply. He had to stop queen d4.
Oh. Rook takes g6 would be okay, not happening. But
I can hear the moans, Danny.
Exactly, but how do we stop the inevitable happening? I mean, knight e5, I play queen e4 and just renew the threat, and d4 is still falling.
Yeah, knight e5, queen e4, bishop f6. It looks so loose. There's got to be something.
Feels like Wesley, regretting his blunder from last game, is about to push this match right back to the 2-game lead where he feels like it belongs.
Danny, are you the type of guy to play knight h8?
I might have to.
You never consider it.
Would I rather the bad things happen on the G file than play knight h8? In some cases, yes.
Would you rather? That's a fun game.
Yeah, that's also have you ever. I know you. Yes. I know the Chessbrah parties are full of would you rather and whatever. But okay, we're gonna.
Never have I ever. But
Never have you ever played? Never have I ever.
Knight on h8.
Only move, actually. I mean, it feels.
Is it actually the only move? Then I'm actually going to pat myself on the back. Knight
I mean,
H8.
Oh, he goes for
No, this
95, but
doesn't.
that's the move I said. Queen E4
Something
comes.
looked off here. Queen E4
Yeah,
is good.
Queen E4. You know what you even have now that the A2 G8 diagonal is open is threats of Bishop B3 and new nasty problems.
Bishop F6, right?
Bishop
F6.
F6. Maybe I just take
And
D4.
just take on D4, yeah. I like Knight H8.
Yeah, I think your move Knight H8 was the last chance, and I think
I
White.
don't think it's a good move, but I just,
Yeah.
you know, you don't get a lot of opportunities for that.
Yeah, I think Knight H8 was met by
tactics.
Bishop B3 anyway, as Chess Learning has pointed out in the Twitch chat, but it doesn't really matter because Knight E5 is busted.
So Bishop F6 or Rook F5. Maybe Rook F5, and that gives my king space on F8. So there's way less mating nets. I can start considering.
Yeah, he goes for it. He hears you.
So
I still think D4 is our.
So bishop takes D4. Question, Danny. After bishop takes D4, do I have Rook H5? No. Okay, no, I don't. I was just thinking that maybe No, it doesn't work at all.
It would be quite fun. I mean, Eric is looking at tactics like this. You try to get involved in this diagonal, and his point is that if White can't play Bishop D4, King F1 is Rook H1 after Queen B6. But oh wait, Queen B6, the Rook's on it.
Yeah. Okay. No, I had no moves there.
No, it's an interesting. It's a desperate shot that may have to be played. He plays Bishop D6, so he's holding on for dear life.
Vidit's playing this well. I mean, I think a lot of us would have lost by now.
Yeah.
It was a really, really dangerous.
If I didn't know any better, I would say that Wesley just gave us a Nakamura number 11, the scowl of disbelief, as we call it.
Oh, he's giving that look.
Have you seen that? I haven't seen. Is Wesley becoming more animated? That's never really been his style. Whereas Hikaru's got enough facial expressions to, insert ridiculous reference that Danny will be made fun for later. But okay, Wesley just gave us a scowl. Nakamura number 11.
But he might be replacing Nakamura. He's higher rated, and maybe
he's going
to have a higher rated scowl and everything.
If Wesley starts bringing his own faces, I might have to get a fathead in the office.
Fatheaded. Is that what they're called?
That's kind of like the moment. I know all these top chess guys. They're like, yeah, they want to be 2000 whatever. They all really just want to have a fathead in Danny's insane office. So no, I'm kidding. But yeah, that's what they're called. I got a couple more fatheads on the way, by the way, for our World Championship coverage coming up. So there'll be some surprises. All right, well.
So he went for Rook H5 as a last ditch attempt, but after Rook takes H4, King G1, the Bishop on E5 will drop back to D4 in case any checks appear. So this is all she wrote. The C5 square is nice because if you trade on E5 and then take on H4, well then I'll be able to play Rook C5 whenever you check on A7 or P6.
Yeah, it's. By the way, he went for your Rook H5, so
yeah,
there's some little bit of vindication there.
I think what you said though, when you first saw this position, he's like, "Look, I'm very scared of the two bishops, and look what happened." Right. So I wouldn't repeat this if I was Vidit in a blitz game.
Yeah, this is whatever he did against Team Russia that worked. Here comes Rook C5, and I think we see it resigns. Okay, not yet, but he'll resign on Bishop E3 or Queen E8 or pick your flavor.
Yeah.
I wouldn't say that everyone's boss is a fathead thing, but I do have. I feel like people aren't getting my reference here.
I hope I'm not.
No, you got a fathead coming from my office. Don't you worry, buddy. Somebody has something to say about this. He says he will never be replaced as the scowl. Look, compare this to the GIF clip earlier. Tell me whether Wesley's scowl was more powerful than Hikaru's number 11. This is Hikaru Nakamura number 11, the scowl of disbelief in your move. He thinks you blundered. You're welcome.
Yeah, Hikaru there looks like he's scowling or he's starring in Cheech and Chong. I can't tell. I actually can't tell.
Well, you know this because you've played him many. I mean, there's Hikaru number 7, the look off into the distance, right? Pretending like he's frustrated. He's just trying to remember opening theory. right? You know all these. I mean, there's a
Yes.
Wikipedia page on these faces. So anyway, all right. Well,
I
Wesley strikes
I got
back.
I got a few of those in between me.
Wesley strikes back. Vidit goes back to the Catalan. That was an impressive game, but I think the main lesson from that is that Vidit likely doesn't try his hand again in that very, very, very good for blitz and rapid format. Rui Lopez for white.
Just great compensation,
Yeah.
and it was like, well, will Wesley attack me and be aggressive? And in that position, he absolutely will, especially when it's the principled choice.
Look,
These guys are
take a
look at
note
the
of this,
speed.
everyone. This is preparation. This is home cooking. You don't play this fast and this deeply into the Catalan unless you cook this up in the kitchen. So, for those of you wondering, hey, should I try to model my openings after top players who play my openings? The answer is yes, right? Always a good idea. And I actually like that, Eric, because it gives you a reason to follow things like top chess news and coverage. Once you kind of attach yourself to a player who plays your openings, it helps you to follow the quality of the games and maybe learn to play the improvements that they
Yeah,
come up with in the home with better computers and
yes,
analysis than you have.
that's true. Although what these guys are playing, you definitely need to try to understand the moves
Right.
as opposed to just replicating them because they're going pretty deep. They're going like past general theory, and they're
Yeah.
showing off a bit. They're
Well,
making
and this
us
is the game we saw
feel very
earlier for
aware.
those of you who just joined us. Wesley So had this position earlier in the match. I believe it was game 3 or 4. He took about 2 minutes and then played bishop c5, as Eric suggested,
I think I'm wondering why he didn't follow up with bishop c5,
right away.
g takes before rook e1 to try to play rook e2. Am I missing something there in that variation? Bishop c5, g takes f4, rook e1, and I just want to play rook e2. It's a very basic move. I'm not advertising much here, but I just
Right.
want to play rook e2.
Well, remember,
And if he plays king
Wesley,
f3, I still have rook
I was going to
f1.
say, in the game, for those of you just joining us, Wesley played this move in the previous game, if I'm remembering correctly. So is rook e1 going to be met by king f3, rook d3, and then king g4?
No, I can also just play rook f1 after king f3. Everything is still pinned.
Ah, okay, yeah, good point. And the bishop is still pinned to the
See,
rook on a1. Okay. Um, So okay, we're gonna find out here if Wesley has something else in mind. But if you remember the way that went, Eric, I'm sure you after rook d3, White played rook c6, and then the blunder by So was bishop d4. Because after rook a2, if Vidin hadn't blundered right back, moves like e6 and rook c8 would have been winning for him. So
Yeah,
okay, so now
yeah,
Wesley improving with this move rook to c8.
yes. Wesley's showing off a bit here. I have a question. I play bishop e3 here. If maybe I don't need to, but my question is: after bishop e3,
Sacrificing
rook
the
takes b.
exchange.
Yes, I want to take on d4 with my bishop and play e6.
I,
It
I
looks like a very juicy exchange.
yeah.
Um, if you don't play that, there's probably other moves, but they require too much effort. Bishop e3 looks like a fun exchange stack.
I may
I'm just
even
here
be
to
better
have
for
fun.
White. Bishop e3, rook takes b1, bishop takes d4. Let's say rook takes b3. Here comes e6, with threats of both rook d8 mate and rook d7 hitting g7.
No, if I get an e6, I mean that's a really good bishop on d4. My rook's gonna go to d7.
Okay, he goes for this. I'm having a hard time finding problems with Vidit's exchange stack. So this is now we're surprised that Wesley repeated his Catalan where we saw he was clearly
Yeah,
worse.
for the second game in a row in this opening, I mean Wesley is going all in terms of trying to win this bishop on c1 or get something from the opening. Last game he sacked 2 pawns. This game he's won material, but it's clearly very risky. I mean, a lot of people wouldn't go for this if they saw this beforehand. Like,
Hmm.
I'm up in exchange, but I'm gonna get checkmated here. So he's 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 really trying to prove this opening is playable and that his preparation has been on point. If rook c8 here,
Rook
there's rook
d7.
c8. Yeah, rook d7. That's gonna be what's coming up. If white can manage to win the g7 pawn while holding everything intact, then you got fantastic winning chances with the e and the f pawns. So rook c8, rook d7. Uh, Yeah, rook c8, rook d7, rook d3.
Rook d3 is mate on d8, right? Oh, you're saying after
So I'm
rook
playing my
c8.
rooks
I see.
after rook c8.
Rook
After rook
c8,
c8.
rook d7, rook d3. Rook takes g7, king f8. I guess we even have e7 first if we want. Or bishop f6. So I think you called the exchange sack, man. That was very nice because this
Well,
seems like compensation out the
yeah.
yin.
The problem is he's forcing Vidit to play that. I mean, I found, but it's because he forced them. He's I'm gonna
Right,
win a
it's
piece
hard. It's not a good idea when you force your opponent to find the best moves, right?
to find a very dangerous line. It's
Mm-hmm.
it's like sometimes you're like, I don't take the material. Yeah, it's like it's here. What's good for Wesley was good for Vidit as well.
Right.
He got out of the opening. He's got active pieces. He's got a happy bishop.
Yeah. Okay. This is the line
Important.
we've
It's
been.
important to have a happy bishop. His bishop was on c1, and now look at it's
I think
running
this
all
is
over the place.
a good sign for Vidit at least that he was tested twice by So, who apparently wasn't convinced that he was much worse as black, but I doubt we'll see Wesley repeat this line.
What do you take on b6 here, or play bishop f6, or play rook takes g7? Three options.
Bishop takes b6 is kind of fun too, right? You can't take on
Yeah,
b7.
and then I want to put the bishop back there and
Mhm.
then do execute, whether it's bishop
But
f6
it
or
feel
bishop
it feels like taking on g7 is pretty straightforward. Okay, he
king
does it,
f8.
and now there's so many moves. There's e7, there's bishop 6. There might even be f5. If f5 takes and then f6, there's threats of e7 and rook g8. I mean, it's
Yeah, I think he's gonna go for this and just f5.
yeah, straightforward.
This looks well. Wesley can
But
definitely.
But from a match overall quick summary, there's about 5,200 of you with us now. Reminder that we've seen for the most part a lot of Catalans, both sides sort of testing each other's preparation. But now we've seen both sides try something, Eric, that they had tried previously where they were worse, and they get killed bad enough that I don't think we're going to see it again. Right? Vidit did it last game. Here Wesley
Yeah.
loses with black, and
He
okay.
can play it one more time. He just has to play my rookie one move.
Meaning Wesley. Yeah, maybe,
Yeah,
right?
that's how you know they're not listening in.
But they're not
because-
listening exactly. Well, now okay. Are we going to see the same line in the Lopez again? I feel like if Vidit rolls the dice there, which he's on
These
his way to
guys-
doing so,
These guys are stubborn in their openings, and they're very good at it.
and we predicted that this would be two players who were not going to try to hide anything. This match means a lot to them. They're playing the openings that they would expect themselves to play in major events. As Eric already pointed out, Vidit played this position as black against Team Russia where he won, but I just love this position for
He
white.
drew comfortably. No, he didn't win. He just drew comfortably, but that was what he was supposed to do.
Right.
Against.
Oh, I hate this position for black. I really, really do. I mean, my queen's coming to d3. I'm pushing Harry, right? It doesn't take a wizard to realize we got magic happening over here on the king side.
Yeah, the pieces are on funny squares. Like a net on g5, just chilling is not something I'm used to. It can obviously be undermined, as you said, with h4, but we can wait to play h4. We have full.
Wesley, by the way, has more than 5 minutes now. So
yeah. Do you enjoy doing that? Do you, when you know an opening, do you enjoy playing so quickly you gain time just to show like, yeah,
oh yeah,
I know this. I've studied this.
Oh yeah.
Like this,
no, for sure, and it doesn't happen to me often online. But I mean, back when I was as real of a chess player as I ever was, one of my best memories of that was winning a game in the Najdorf that was from start to finish prep, and it was one of those games where I think on move 27. My opponent is under 5 minutes, right, to make 13 moves, and I had about an hour and 56 minutes on the clock. Like, I really made the point. I was just like, so that was probably the best example of that. I'm sure you have more than I do, but it doesn't happen that often, right? So you got to do it.
For us, you mean? For these guys,
For these guys, yeah.
That's why they're showing off. Yes, I am reading the chat. Hello, everyone. Welcome.
We're both reading the chat. We see we can't engage with every comment, especially all the non-positive ones. But all right, this is I'm genuinely surprised by this. Now Wesley taking his time, but I still think that you made a good point that regardless of Vidit's practical perspective of whether he feels this is a position he can play OTB, that's the stubborn thing, right? When you've prepared the position, you believe an engine can take the pawn and defend, so I should be able to do it. Then you play it in blitz, and it's a lot harder to play positions where your king is exposed for 20 moves when you don't have a lot of time.
Yep.
So,
Yep. No, I mean that pawn can't move backwards on g6, so you definitely have this open king for as long as these bishops are still alive and maybe the queen's on the board. White has tactics that black always has to watch out
yeah.
for.
Okay, at least in this case, he's prevented h4 for now. Harry not bringing the magic tricks to g6 just yet. But now you've got a potential. What about queen e2? Okay, there's knight d4.
Yeah. I would probably just play bishop d2 and bishop d3, stabilize, and then maybe double my rooks on the e file. I'm not too ambitious here because actually, if I win the b pawn, then I've regained my material and I have the bishop pair and I have the outside passed pawn. So just bishop d2, bishop b3.
No, I love your bishop e2, and partly because it also
just
threatens
a
queen e2.
Sip of coffee, just nice and chill, stable. I wouldn't think too much. I would just. It's fun in chess when you grab a piece, but you only move it one square and you look all professional. Like you just gently push it up the board, and it's like, yeah.
That's a bit of a surprise there. He's gonna.
He still likes the outside pass pawn.
Yeah.
Still likes the loose. Well, yeah. This is better if Vidit doesn't even take the bishop pair, which I'm not saying he necessarily had to. That Wesley's recovered his material at the minimum, and he's got a position to work with. Yep. Outside pass pawns here are big, especially when there's queens on the board. Black's king's a little bit unsafe.
Yep.
That this.
No, you make a great point. Right.
The d pawn is black's pass pawn, but by pushing the d pawn past d5, you've opened up the g8 to a2 diagonal.
Yeah.
And with the queens on the board, that's a very risky proposition. So I think it's definitely not equal, despite the material. Black is suffering here.
I'm still biased toward the last win, though, I guess, given that I feel like Wesley did it in such a nicer fashion with kingside attack that I feel like this is a bit of a win for black to be this situation. I liked your initial suggestion of bishop b2 preventing this knight from getting to d4 earlier. So, Hikaru Nakamura joining us in the Chess TV chat. He asked what's going on here and says Wesley's not winning big, so he's surprised.
Hello, Hikaru.
Hikaru getting ready for his match on Thursday versus Maxime.
Do you think Hikaru will say hello? Hi.
I don't know if Hikaru listens to our commentary.
Yeah.
No. I have caught him listening to our commentary once or twice where I said something like awkward enough for him to respond to.
Yes, and he's gonna be like, "What are you talking about?"
Right, and then he responded. Right, most of the time, I think his kind of job is to ignore us. So anyway, we'll see if Hikaru's listening right now. All right. Well, Wesley's still better. Obviously, the B better than the D for the reasons you highlighted. Not just is it outside, but the D pawn. Pushing comes with consequences.
Yeah, I mean, for Wesley here, doesn't need to rush the position. I think what he's doing is good. Keeping at least the pair of rooks on the board, pushing the b pawn, and ideally I'd actually want to keep more pieces on the board. Okay, so Vidit traded.
Yeah.
Queen d3 again.
Getting a question from one of the players about how much time is left in our private conversation. We'll inform them.
Would you guys consider, I don't know if there's already the system when you can click to follow a player, and whenever they log on, sort of like in this case, like a wild Hikaru has been spotted, there's a noise that I've been on, you know what I mean? Like a noise. When someone comes, maybe there already is that, but like
we recently launched the sort of the hero follow feature where those people that there are title players, right? But since we kind of got rid of title player alerts because we just have had too many, and it led to the infamous Title Tuesday crashes of 2018. We now have only about 15 players that in our mind have earned hero status. Guess who's on there? Mr. Eric Hansen.
Ooh.
So anybody that follows you on Chess.com, if they follow your profile, if you simply log into live chess, if you start playing games, if you post an article, a video, people get alerts. And so Hikaru is on that list, obviously.
I like the sound of this.
And kind of like our celebrity, call it like the blue check mark of Twitter, right? And so we don't currently have sound effects. Like Hikaru logs on and it makes like a monkey noise or a giraffe in the wild or so. I don't know. But I like this idea. So if any of our staff members are listening, I like the idea of sound effects for our heroes. Maybe you could choose your own sound effect.
Yes, yes, custom is good.
Okay. I like it. All right. Well, Vidit has. I mean, okay, we got a little distracted there with the wild Hikaru sighting, but Vidit has defended this position very well and proving me wrong for repeating. I mean, I'm
Well,
not sure he holds, but
yeah. No, he's putting up counterplay. I think
yeah.
Wesley stays the course. Keep the pieces on, push the b pawn. So right now, probably bishop a5, b6, b7. Black's going to have to play d4 at some point, but that does open up a basket of tactics. So d4, I play b6, and it's going to be a bit of a race. But I
When I
like
log
the
in, it would make a donkey noise. Okay, I was just kidding. Don't get too. I love people finding things to get offended about. Sorry. Anyway, all right. Yeah. Say that last part again. Are we really
Well,
gonna?
I'm saying that he's doing a good job. That
Yeah.
just keep pieces on and play b6. Black is running out. He's playing very well, but it's hard to maintain this pace. At some point, you just want to play your pawn to d4 because White's slowly making progress on the b file, and Black needs some counterplay here. But as soon as that diagonal opens up, look for some tactics involving Black's king. So I just think b6, b7. If I'm Black here, I feel like my queen should be on d5, but I'm not sure how I can maybe cheat that. So maybe I still play d. Maybe we do have some line like that, but no, like d4 and queen d5. I don't see what the formation is to defend here. It might be some sort of. I almost want to play g5, g4, so that if White were ever to take with the h pawn, I have the h file to mate.
These
And if I
crazy
take
mates.
with the f pawn, I play f3, and then my queen goes to g3. But
That's a brilliant idea. I really like that. He's the biggest issue whether he comes up with your G5 idea or decides he
no.
can risk D4. He's just taking a lot of time.
Yeah, well, it didn't work because White had this idea of b6, b7, and queen takes e8 check, and it's promoting. There's all these tempos that
Right.
the queen d4 makes some sense. You might want to
But now, bishop C7, very nice move before pushing the B pawn to ensure control over this E5 diagonal for Black.
that might just be over. I mean, this endgame was really hard to hold in my opinion.
I still feel like your last idea. I'm backing up on the analysis board because I liked it that much. I feel like from a practical perspective, like you said, the endgame can't be held. Look at this idea Eric was saying: G5 and G4. You take with the H pawn, you have all these moves like Queen F6, and the queen comes to the H file. And if you take with the F pawn, you have F3 and Queen G3. And so even if there's not a forced, maybe there's a way for White to defend. Those are the kind of ideas that can save you quick games, right?
Yes, especially in Bullet or something.
Yeah.
In Blitz against Wesley, he's one of the harder guys to pull us off on, but otherwise, I was just looking for something.
I feel like I was just watching like some Chessbrah highlight video, and you did something like that and saved a lost position. So, and no, it's instructive nonetheless, everyone, because what happens is it tells you to always think about what the weaknesses are in your opponent's position. You don't recognize tactics like that unless you're aware of the weak dark squares around the king. You're aware of the bishop guarding g1 and the h-file mating net. So, it shows you're able to see things like that as you are just very aware of all the potential tactical resources. So, but okay, this is just over now.
Yeah, he's trying to figure out, do I play rook d2, king f2, and then if the king ever goes to d5, I just put my bishop on f6. But
I think
either
that's
way,
what he'll do.
he can slow roll this rook d2 and maybe bring the king to c1. Okay, this works. How do you win the d3 pawn? You don't have to, but maybe I'm wondering is because he does need to keep some material on the board. Okay.
Hikaru wondering if I was reading him in Chess TV. Sorry, I was responding. But,
you see that, guys? He gets priority service.
Priority service for Nakamura.
Danny doesn't reply to us. He doesn't reply to us like that.
Anyway, well, all right. This has just been a matter of time, literally, because the game ends on the clock. But all right, enough for Wesley to regain a 2-game lead, and I'm gonna make the bold prediction that this could very well be our last 5-minute game, starting right here, everyone, with only 9 minutes left. This is a big moment. What would you say from a practical perspective when he fell? The fact that he fell down by 2 games about 45 minutes ago, he's still only down by 2 games. So Vidit holding his own. We'll see if he can make up some ground in the faster time controls, right?
He's holding his own. Both players, took some hits as Black, right? Wesley lost a couple times in this line, and Vidit's open Spanish has been, well, he's just giving Wesley too much fun.
Yeah.
I think that's almost the word. But I think it's a very good thing that he's managed to stabilize, as you said, at -2. We've seen a lot more than that this year. But I'm curious when Wesley starts playing a bit more solid as black, like maybe in this game. Although this
Yeah.
game's going to be pretty wild with open position. If how he's going to generate chances if Wesley starts to close things down a bit more, because part of Vidit's wins have been because Wesley's allowed that. He's been playing very ambitiously against the Catalan,
Mm-hmm.
or he was playing that, and we know Wesley has this mode where he doesn't allow that. And let's see. This is good. This is a nice approach for White though.
Hikaru
He
made the
files
bold
open.
prediction that if Wesley doesn't lose this game, it's over. Believes that Wesley is the strong favorite as the time goes get faster. But Hikaru is great at making predictions, as JD Cannon points out on Chess TV, but Hikaru also predicted Zaven Andriasyan would beat Vidit. So, and Vidit ran away with that match for those of you who followed it. It was tied heading into bullet, and Vidit ran away in the bullet. So, who knows? I think Hikaru's prediction record is very, very high. So I'm not trying to hold that one against him, but we'll see. We'll see if Vidit can make up some ground in the faster time control. So
The American team just showing some camaraderie. BFFs.
Well, he knows it's Wesley's birthday, so he's showing the love for Wesley today on his 25th. So
what did Hikaru get Wesley for his birthday?
Hikaru, what did you get Wesley for his birthday? That's a maybe
yeah,
a
right?
maybe a
well,
tweet.
what are these guys? What sort of birthday gift was it? I'm curious.
I'm curious too. All right, well, E3 is played now. Nice move by Vidit. You got to put these bishops sort of on a leash here. In fact, White would love to be able to take B7, but C2 is a big problem here. This is
this is like a Grunfeld position with really, really, really good counterplay for Black. Sort of like that game we had.
Especially because you evaluate the only positional weakness really on the board is White's C4 pawn. So if no tactics happen here that change the nature of Black's position, Black just has to be better, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep. And he's not even playing B6 because that was never really a problem.
Right.
I'm actually very curious. If you ask me one thing I was curious about, it's like, how are the dinners? If those guys between, Wesley, Hikaru, Fabiano, just the American team atmosphere, I'm very curious about that. It'll probably remain a secret, but birthday presents, who does leg day together, or CrossFit,
right?
Like that. I'm just
it's a good question as far as what those hangout sessions are like. But we may never know. You and I are not privy. So, all right. No. Black has removed the threat of potentially taking on f6. Wants to have a positional grind against the c4 pawn if he gets his way. One thing that's a little nervousome, that's a word that I just made up, is the bishop on f5. Right? You got to be careful about shots if that bishop on f5 gets in trouble. As long as it has the e6 square, I guess Black is fine.
Can I play e5 here and bishop d3 and win a pawn, or is that a little too greedy? E5, bishop c3, bishop d3, and either I take on c4 or I maybe take on c4. Might be a little greedy.
Hikaru answered. He said that they didn't really have team dinners like that. Everyone kind of doing their own thing. So.
Okay. Well, he's welcome to dine with the Canadians. We're always friendly.
Hikaru feels like an honorary member of Team Canada, right?
Yeah, he's welcome. He's should be partaking in our Endgame sessions.
Yeah, all the Canadians trying to improve their endgames together and the group effort. All right, Vidit finds a way
one of the best ways is to just join the hairstyling course offered by Amon. That's
Is there a hairstyling Discord that Amon runs, by the way?
It's his Instagram DMs.
Okay.
So if people use Instagram, you have to slide into his DMs, and that's client one-on-one basis. Not everyone gets accepted.
Yeah, personal invite needed to attend. But all right, Vidit finds a way, which from a practical perspective may be smart. He gives up the weakness we've been touting, and maybe wants to use that as counterplay. The fact that Wesley has to try to coordinate to unpin that bishop without allowing any other tactics. So.
Well, I'm glad Wesley went pawn hunting, channeling what I would also do here.
Takes, and now you're probably going to get knight to d2, or even bishop f1.
Yeah, and then b5.
And the main
No matter
issue is
what,
that
though,
if
this is going to be good for black. And the knight on f8, Danny, is very tricky. It's going to go to e6 and g5 in some lines,
yeah,
especially if you imagine that the light squares are vulnerable. If white does play bishop f1 and wins the pawn back for the cost of that light squared bishop, f3 and h3 are going to be really, really weak.
yeah. I was going to say the issue with taking with the queen is indeed what we now see. The e5 pawn would fall, but maybe that was the best option.
These guys want the endgames. Knight e6, or do you take on b3? Or is he going to play? Knight e6 seems very logical, just to improve your pieces, and maybe a5, a4.
Uh-huh. Yeah, this is going to be a long endgame, as Hikaru points out, so I think we're pretty safe in our prediction that this will be the last 5-minute game. A quick break, and then the 3-minute chess portion rolls on. So for all 5,000 of you, the excitement has just begun. Stay tuned. All right. I like this. I like the outside idea always of Harry getting involved, h5 and h6, and who knows the potential on the king side.
This is okay. Queen c2 is a good move because in some endgames, even though black has the outside passed pawn, white can be the one that ends up on top. With the, let's say if we had time to put our bishop on d5, then we'd be really happy. But
right.
Queen c2 is a very annoying move, preventing that. So I do like that decision by.
And now if you take a7, you lose f2, and with it potential.
Do you take f2 or take on b3? If you take f2, I take b6. At least I'm up a pawn.
I guess I was assuming that if I take f2, you take b6, I get g5 in or something, and I just loved the idea of an attack. But okay, I guess I'm too superficial of an idea. Black wants to just settle on the outside b pawn.
Yeah, I guess I like black here, just pushing the b pawn and being very, very straightforward about that. And I'm gonna play b5, b4, and put my queen on c3 maybe, so that I can win that diagonal, something like that. As white, I'd love to use this majority. I think Vidit will repeat actually.
Seems safe, given that he probably is the only one who can lose the ending.
Because,
okay, no, he goes bishop d5.
Okay, so let's say queen b2, king g2. So he's gonna play this endgame where king g2, yeah,
he's
and then
got the bishop versus the knight, right? So some advantages in the open board here, especially if he can play moves like queen to the 7th rank and get tactics going against f7. Hikaru says king g2,
knight c7.
Wesley will simplify with knight c7.
Knight c7, yeah, that's right.
Take c6. Ooh, it's got.
What's just saying that here? After queen takes f2, maybe just king h3. That's going to be a draw. I'm going to play queen b7 check.
Queen b7, he'll take b6, and there's just nothing to it.
Solid. These are some solid players.
Yeah,
that's what we can say.
I could be wrong. I'm wondering what the official clock suggests. I know that our games keeper will let us know that. For those of you wondering, of course, we do have an exact time kept by one of our judges behind the scenes. The timer here is usually within a couple seconds of that, but there are those rare cases where the judge's ruling is that the next game counts. So, yeah, Vidit saying, Hikaru's saying Vidit should use the time here to get it off the clock and not play another game as black. I tend to agree with Hikaru there for match strategy.
Yeah, I think Wesley's also doing that, though, isn't he?
Yeah, Wesley's deciding he's tired of 5 minutes. Wesley was the one who asked me, by the way. Wesley asked me privately in Zoom, like, hey, how much time do we have left in 5 minutes? I think he was getting bored.
Are you allowed to share that?
I think so.
The locker room talk?
Locker room. Well, I'm not, not all of it.
Private. Just keep my message.
Not all of it, but it was about 15 minutes. Oh, okay, no. It's over.
I think.
Okay,
I think
it was officially noted by our judge keeper before I move on. Yes. Okay. Officially, we will let the players take a break. That was the last 5-minute game. And Hikaru will have a microphone very, very soon. He said he wants to do more commentary in these matches. Sure. Why not? But what matters is right now you got me and Eric Hansen flying along with all of you. Thanks for being here. We're going to be headed into the 3-minute portion in just a moment. But while I have everyone's attention, I want to remind you that in honor of today's special day, that it is the birthday of the one and only Wesley So, we have a Photoshop contest. Anybody who wants to Photoshop Wesley So into a kid's birthday party, maybe Chuck E. Cheese, keep it appropriate, do the kind of things that Wesley would do on his
Uh,
birthday.
ah, if
Not
you didn't say that, Danny,
not the
there's a
things
lot
that
of
Eric
perfect.
would do on his birthday. Okay?
Ah, okay. There we go. There we go.
But no,
Now,
1 year diamond membership to the winner of a Photoshop contest. Remind you all, use the hashtag SpeedChess on the Twitter sphere for those of you who speak tweets, and get involved in the SpeedChess Championship hashtag on Twitter for a 1 year diamond membership chance. So Eric and I will be right back. The break is on, and the 3-minute begins in just about 90 seconds or 2 minutes. So don't go anywhere. And this is where we stand at the end of the 5-minute portion. 6-4, being led by the American Grandmaster Wesley So. Vidit Gujarati, not too far behind on the scoreboard, but obviously, needless to say, a couple of big games he'd probably like to have back. With me, of course, is my partner in crime, Grandmaster Eric Hansen. So, I'm going to ask you the same thing I like to ask Robert Hess. You're in Vidit's corner now. Describe what you feel the tempo of the match has been for him. Maybe give him some of those things to reflect on that might help him change the direction in the faster portions.
what would I do if I was in Vidit's corner? We're not going to touch that closed open Spanish ever
Again.
No. Those were long games, and he lost them at the end. So
Yep.
it wasn't even. And otherwise, I think he's been doing a good job. Good job with white. But one thing I'd say is just play a little bit faster. I think I'd like to see him try to put Wesley under pressure on the clock. We don't see many players put their opponents under pressure. I mean, there aren't that many fast players. Hikaru is one of them. MVL. These guys. That's not an element where anyone's trying to use that to their advantage. I'd like to see that being used a bit more, being a bit more decisive with some of his choices.
Okay.
He's reacting to Wesley a little bit.
And you could argue, I think, that with 2 losses in the Spanish that you highlighted, that your advice might be the biggest key to the match. Stop getting yourself in that bad position if you're Mr. Gujarati.
Yeah.
We definitely don't ever want the love and support by the one and only Chess Bay to stop in the chess community. She just went sub-gift crazy. Thank you for that. Looking at all of you here in the different chat rooms, just want to say a big thank you to all of our fans, all those who tune in for these matches. You make these things possible, and we appreciate it. So, all right, Eric, the 3-minute is on. You and I
think, yeah, but overall, I think Vidit is playing fine, and I don't think it's over yet. As Hikaru is calling the match, or he thinks Wesley's a big favorite. I think Vidit's still in with the shout.
Okay. Well, we have our first scotch. Makes me excited, I guess. Not just for a good scotch, which everyone enjoys.
I would, yeah.
On a Friday afternoon, why not? But I'm even, in this case, just referring to the fact that the scotch opening, a part of my repertoire for anybody that cares, something that I've always enjoyed playing. But here we've got a sharp Mises variation. Are you a scotch connoisseur of either kind?
Yes. I picked up the drink before the opening. Yeah, I can appreciate a good scotch.
Yeah.
In Blitz, I think the scotch is a better temp than in classical.
Yes.
Right, because you can sacrifice more. You can, I don't know. You don't have to rely on memorize. It's a very concrete opening in a lot of the main lines. And so even though you might be well prepared, your opponent could also be very well prepared, and it's not always fun when that happens.
Right.
But in Blitz, we have these open positions with active pieces for both sides. So I like the positions when they're actually there's some play in there and some flexibility.
No, I think you make a great point. I think Scotch has died down in a lot of high-level circles as far as OTB classical, but still a very common feature by players from Magnus Carlsen to guys like Nepomniachtchi, especially in rapid and blitz events.
Yeah, no, I think it's a good opening. I don't think people should be dissuaded from what I just said. I think for almost everyone, it's a playable opening, and it's good to have it as a second option. There's the classical Spanish lines. That's, the bread and butter of chess for hundreds of years. But having the Scotch as this aggressive approach, different treatment, can throw some of your opponents off guard. Like, for example, I remember when I was playing like older guys when I was a little kid, like let's say older, I mean like let's say seniors, or they seem to be seniors. I would play the Scotch more.
Right.
because I'd be like, oh, it's going to be open, it's going to a higher chance of
Right.
blundering or mess up the position. Where I know in a very positional game,
A
like the
Spanish sort of closed
Spanish,
structure or something.
they're
Yeah.
they're going to outplay me and
Right.
they're going to grind me, and they know all the patterns.
Right.
Here, there's some, yeah, there's
Well, I was
stuff.
I was about to say no. That's another good practical point of when and how to play it. And I was going to be slightly critical of Vidit's approach positionally. This is normally exactly the type of thing you want to avoid on the black side of a Scotch. If Wesley can establish a knight on c4, you've got these horrible double pawns. But whoever's got control over this d file first. I thought there was also this idea instead of knight d3, Eric, this idea of knight c2 and bringing the knight into d4. So
Yeah, the only problem is that trades. Yeah, no, that definitely
trades
would be an
favor white
option.
positionally, right? But so black has to
Yes.
keep the activity to justify these positional problems.
Yeah. One of the things yeah, because let's say we trade off the light squared bishops
Right.
and that knight on c2 was traded for white's bishop. White would have the c4 square for the knight, and that
Right.
would be potentially a
That would
good,
be delicious. Yep.
yeah. Although we might see that still, and Vidit might still play around it. He doesn't mind these double c pawns. He takes this in the Catalan a lot as well. So
Yeah.
at the same time, I think I have
Yeah,
to
I
say
feel like here is a, and
we
maybe this
favor
is
white.
now my bias coming out about the fact that I've played these types of positions of Scotch. This just usually feels like a big positional win. That's why I thought knight c2, knight d4 was a better try for black, because then you're trying to induce the bishop to trade on d4. So bishop to c3. Okay, Vidit has to keep the d file and the practical pressure that brings everyone to justify long-term problems. But
Long-term problems might involve f4, f5, and steamrolling.
ooh, now you're talking.
Steamrolling Vidit. He might be willing to meet f4 with f5 himself, but still, the knight on e3 can really help support that pawn chain.
Hmm. Yeah. Okay, he takes it, and I guess he can just get away with that. But funny idea for Wesley is he's saying, well, I lose the e pawn, but even now, your extra pawn is what, doubled and isolated c and a pawn. So
Danny, I have to say, I didn't realize it was hanging, or I think it's a Wesley syndrome where I just don't believe the guy blunders pawns.
right.
I don't know, it's just
I admit this was
because
like that
it's
B4
happened.
tactic. I
It's
wasn't looking for
happened
it either.
multiple times, but it mainly happens when Wesley's playing.
Right.
Because if it's like Hikaru, well, we know Hikaru blunders, and then he comes back and he wins games down material, and I blunder and Magnus blunders, but Wesley, I'm like, no, not possible. It can't be true.
Hikaru giving you some
Now,
love in the Chess TV chat, saying
what?
Eric's the best. I think he's talking. He loves your commentary. Very good in bullet, but you
I'm
blundered
getting.
against Laquan.
Oh, that's true. I had some of the worst blunders of my life recently. So I realized that I need to play and commentate. I need to balance it more because I lost my sense of danger.
Hmm.
Because I'm used to you. I'm used to having a partner to back me up. If I blunder, then you offer a hand. You're like,
I was
no,
going to
no,
say you were used to playing guys like me in chess who don't catch your
no,
blunder.
no,
No, but
no, no. Commentating with you, I don't
yeah,
have a Danny card, a phone a friend during the games, and that
right.
I was really
It
thinking
is
that.
amazing how just I mean we I know we're partly teasing, but you're right. Just commentating with another title player, like if one side doesn't see a blunder, the other side almost always does, right? You just your cumulative strength
Mhm.
goes way up because
Yes.
you're keeping each other in check.
So I missed you. I
Um,
needed a Danny on my shoulder
but
during
Yermo once told me
Danny
that
pair.
Uncle Yermo once kind of warned me. He said, if and when you ever come back to chess, it's like riding a bike or in life. The last skills you've really developed as a high level chess player are the first ones to leave, and usually, kind of the last skills that strong GMs like yourself really develop is that super high level sense of danger, right? Where you don't blunder and beat yourself. That in blitz, you're not always challenged to see all those tactics, and so that doesn't surprise me that you say that because you haven't been playing that much, one of the things that kind of goes away is your high level sense of danger, right?
Yeah, it was definitely learning. Well, these guys are these. I think I think chess players now are playing more than ever before in history, right? If you look at the
Right.
average player,
Yep.
they're playing more online and they're playing more tournaments. So these the field will separate even more from pro players and non-pro players. The
Right.
pro players are getting better and they're playing more and
Right.
they're always in shape and always working. So it's yeah, it's more noticeable now
Good
with
point.
uh with the current schedule.
Very strange approach right now, but it looks like in the end, Harry will decide who wins this one because I don't think Vidit's going to get enough
I
compensation
I
fast enough.
I think, well, it's just game over. King f4, king takes f5, and
F5,
the
yeah.
knight can't hide on. Okay, he's gonna hide on h8.
Last chance to gain a few tempi, but it's still too
Yeah,
slow. Yeah, I don't see
knight
any reason
e5.
why. Ooh, 95 even stronger. Then take,
Yep.
and here comes knight g6.
Push
Oh, knight
push the
g.
g pawn. Yeah, well, everything worked. Your
Okay,
line
yeah,
worked
yeah.
well, but just push the g pawn.
Okay, well, Hikaru's predictions so far holding up that the faster the time control, the harder it's going to be for Vidit to keep up with Wesley. We will see. The the game didn't feel like it got away from Vidit until the very end. So putting you on, what was that? Just endgame technique that's what happens when you're in a time scramble against a stronger player, or anything else you took away from that game?
Yeah,
Yeah,
I wouldn't look too much into that game.
yeah.
I I'm not sure it's the right sort of position to put Wesley under pressure in. At the same time, the one game Wesley lost in the Olympiad was I'm not sure it was a Catalan, but it was sort of like a pretty stable position, and it turned into an end game. So he lost to Rajabov, and
Yep.
it does happen. It does happen that you can just grind out a small advantage against them, but it's very rare, and I'm not seeing the positions right now that are favorable for Vidit that allow him to do that.
Well, Hikaru called it, right? Right now he's saying it's just the last 5 minute game was critical as far as the momentum of the match, but we've seen stranger things. Has been the year of the crazy upset. So Vidit, everything that happens in a comeback has to start with one game, right? One game at a time. You got to focus on turning things around here. He's getting all these Catalans. This is a slightly different version of the Catalans we've seen, right? Not nearly that super theoretical challenging where the center became open. Here, this is just more of a small slight edge for white, kind of a grinded out affair.
Yep, and this is a position he can play pretty quickly.
Yeah.
Yeah, knight b4. Wesley's really, really keen for knight b4. I can tell you that.
Yep. And he can simplify too.
I might even hide my knight on g2 just to avoid trades, and then just get a worse position here.
Yeah. If you're white and you want winning chances, I don't think you can. I don't think you can take on b4 here. So.
Well, I don't think you can avoid.
No.
That's the problem. The knight would actually have to go to a worse square. Now, these positions are not like entirely equal. If you're like, oh, I'm gonna play e5 and equalize, not so fast.
Right.
We'll play d5, and we'll have a superior light squared bishop. Also, the pawn on h5 accentuates this light squared bishop.
Right.
Whereas black's dark squared bishop has that diagonal, which is fairly useless. So still prefer white, and he can still make something of this. I would try to play quickly. He might even consider moves like f4, establishing pawns on f4 and d4, but
maybe
still,
even g4.
Something for Vidit.
Yeah.
I think he has to win this game. I think this is I've been looking from Wesley's perspective. I'm gonna flip the board.
This is.
That was not a good time to flip. Maybe bishop back to e4. Well, because I don't want to trade everything off. Bishop back to e4. Bishop back to e4.
Yeah, he didn't go for it. Now he does.
Yeah, but
black is going to have to defend b7.
Queen f3.
I really loved your f4 g4 idea, not just because I love my g4 emote, but I like the idea of pushing and trying to create attacking chances on the king side.
Something was off in the execution here. He didn't get the pull at all. I mean, this really.
Okay, don't blunder rook d7 because of rook c8. But
well, rook c8. Okay, yeah.
Okay, you do have bishop f8.
It's not ideal,
right,
but yeah, I know what you're saying.
Yeah.
I mean, white's going to play like rook c2, put pressure on b7.
If you get a chance, though, there is still this g4, g5 kind of outside idea. And okay, it's obviously I'm being.
Well, g4, g5. It's supposed to come with f4 as well because
right.
g5 black can take.
Right. And okay, Wesley gonna sacrifice the b7 pawn. He can't take b2 at the end because of rook c5, but I think he has rook d2. So if bishop takes b7, rook d2 might be black's idea. Maybe white plays rook c2 first here, Eric, just to kind of prophylaxis.
Rook c2 is always fine. I said I'd like to see Vidit get up on time.
Yeah.
At least, because this position wasn't hard to play. I mean, playing the best moves maybe, but he could have rattled off a lot of his moves quickly, right? I mean, the moves he's playing are natural moves,
Yeah.
and he could up the tempo a little bit. We haven't seen any time scrambles, or when we have, Wesley's just winning an endgame, or it's like drawing. But
Hikaru actually had an interesting line, maybe sort of calling the bluff of bishop takes b7. Move over here to the bat cave in the analysis board.
the bat cave.
I like to call it the bat cave. Bishop b7, rook d2, b3. If bishop takes e3, there may be rook c8, king h7, and then bishop e4 check.
Well, that's just winning.
Which could have been a kind of a sexy little
Yeah,
idea.
that's if Wesley fully committed to competition. Yes, that's right. That's right.
He didn't go for it, but now Vidit did manage
But it's
to
up a
kind of
pawn.
steal the pawn. Yeah, I mean it's a clean pawn now. So.
It does help that Black's exit square for the king is on a light square, and
Right.
it's not safe. And as long as there's rooks and queens on the board, that there are tactical things to worry about. Because if there weren't, even losing this pawn doesn't make a big impact, because Black can put a bishop on b4 and there's no passed pawn, and it's isolate opposite bishops. But the inclusion of heavy pieces makes this totally different. Okay, so now if bishop b4,
Yeah, Black is still just doing nothing different than what he's been trying to do, which is just sort of hold the
well,
worst.
trading the rooks off, the king can come out a little easier.
Yeah,
I think Wesley's actually made progress there. Now what I just talked about doesn't play a role because the king is safe on f8.
Yeah,
so I think Wesley's making progress, and this is just
yeah.
G5?
But I think you've
G5?
been calling for it from a practical point of view. That it has to speed up. If you have the same game and Wesley has less than 10 seconds or something, there's your chance, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, he should have never exchanged rooks. And as
Yeah,
far as
at
that
that
goes,
point it was too late, but he could have tried to prevent it.
I like this move. He's trying to induce f6, which maybe opens up doors over here to come into g6, g7. Okay, now he'll probably just settle on b3. He's been avoiding playing that move, but I think you have to guard a4. No, he doesn't. It will now a4.
You want to take on a4?
Yeah.
Are you hungry? Yeah. Okay.
I don't know what's going on. I don't think that was the best by Vidit.
No. I mean,
yeah, he's last desperate chance at counterplay.
Black is very comfortable here. There is not a whiff of a mating net because the dark squares are forever safe.
BFF, best friends forever. Dark squares. Draw. All right.
Unsatisfied. That's how I feel after that game. If I'm in Vidit's corner, he's really got to obviously maximize better. But yeah, I'd like to see him work a few more angles like the clock.
Yeah.
And he mixed in aggressiveness that game with some slow play, and I'd like to see him commit more to just like one approach. Let's play fast, aggressive, or I just it wasn't. He's not doing enough to beat a guy like Wesley, right? You're like it's like you have to. Okay, in this case, Wesley's not the champion, but you actually have to take it from him. Like you have to take it from Wesley. He's not going to blunder and on a just even basis. You have to do something to take it from him.
No, I think that's a good metaphor, just from the perspective that, especially just because Wesley's already up 3 games. I mean, you can't.
He might have to jump over the cage, Danny.
Yep.
You might have to
bring the fight to him, right?
Well, did you watch the UFC or you hear about the UFC?
No, what is this?
There was a Conor McGregor fight, and then there's a big brawl after the fight. And, people jumped over the ring and they're punching each other, and guys.
Wow.
It was,
oh wait, that was Saturday, right?
Yeah, that was Saturday.
That's
so
right,
I was saying, he's gonna have to do something. Like.
Yeah. Well, you got to just
send in the goons.
Sometimes you got to jump over the cage. I like that.
Yes. Yeah.
All right, well, isolated queen pawn, that might be it, right? In the sense that we know IQPs, while it is a weakness, Black maybe has some outside chances at counterplay on the king, so that's what you mean when you made your Magnus reference earlier, right? You have to be willing to kind of, you got to give something to get something in some of these matches. Be willing to play something that isn't your favorite if it creates more winning chances for both sides.
Yep, and that's here. You have to keep pieces on the board. That isolated pawn is not going to be well received in the opening. In the end game. What, H3 now? H3 or G3? G3 makes more sense.
Yep.
I'd be very happy if black took on F3. Then I have this nice fianchetto. You can take on E5 and play bishop F3. This is still super, super. I mean, black's okay. But yeah, Wesley's in his comfort zone here. As long as he doesn't make some mistake. Rook E1 allows tactics. Right now, knight takes F3 is a threat. So I'm not sure why he necessarily picked that move first. Now I can't take on E5 in the way I wanted to.
Yeah, and the simplification has got to be okay for white, just because leaving black with that isolated queen pawn. Speaking of doing okay, our fans are doing okay, Eric. We made a call to action about Photoshop contest, one-year diamond membership. The Twitter, as we see the game there on the left, the Twitter is having a lot of fun blowing up. I love this one of Wesley's head peeking out of the balls. Did you ever play in the balls when you were a kid? In the McDonald's balls? Do they have that in Canada?
Play. They're just called the balls. Like that wasn't. No, is that what it's called?
Did you ever play? Did you ever play in the ball cage as a kid?
Little,
Did you ever play with the balls?
Okay. I actually got kicked out. We were on a school field trip.
I got kicked out for being too big for playing with the balls. I'll tell you that.
I was jumping around throwing things, and I actually landed on
a smaller kid.
On a smaller kid that was underneath the balls.
This Jumpy House one reminds. The Jumpy House one reminds me of a great time I had where we rented a Jumpy House for my son's 12-year-old birthday, and I can tell you that after the kids were done, me and some of my buds and my son's uncle, we kind of went adult style, UFC style in the Jumpy House. You ever done that?
I haven't played adult. I haven't done anything adult style with balls.
Okay, so, no, in the Jumpy House. The Jumpy House.
Oh, the Jumpy. Oh, sorry. Jumpy House? No, not yet.
That's a good time. You and Amon could throw down in that. Let's just say like somebody left with a bloody nose. Like it was Goodwill Hunting style. We were going at it in the Jumpy House.
Amon and I still play hide and seek at tournaments.
Yeah.
And so speaking of kid games, and we're very good at that. So anyone, we were still doing it, and we're very good at speaking of those games. So.
All right. Well, the transition has changed the structure here. We no longer have an isolated pawn for black. But white has this 3-on-2 potential, so I don't know. It feels like black is still in control, and the fact that he's up on time.
Black's doing good. Vidit has to win this. Black is doing good. He's got counterplay. He's got a good bishop here. He's up 35 seconds.
Yep.
Play some aggressive moves. Maybe F5. Maybe King H7. Rattle some. You have lots of easy moves here, and there's no tension. You can get away. There we go. F5. There we go. There we go. Throw the pieces in. G5, F4. That's a good move by Wesley. Wesley is very annoying when he's worse. He finds these moves that trade everything off.
Yeah, he's we've said he's the
bishop takes D4. You can it's probably not. Bishop okay, I like Rook F8. I like Rook F8. Rook F8 was good. G5. Danny, we want G5.
I've been calling for G5 for a long time.
G5. So. The people want it. Okay, King H7.
He's preparing it.
Fine.
You can feel it.
But he's got to open up the position. He's got to keep the pieces on the board. If that means putting the bishop on A7, that means rerouting everything. Put the bishop back to A7. Back to A7. Don't trade because it helps Wesley as well. Playing. Okay, you wanted to put the bishop on F6. Not as aggressive. That wasn't what I was prescribing. Bishop G5 maybe? Provoke F4? Let's do Bishop G5. There we go. Yeah. This is one of his best positions of the match so far.
Now Bishop F6 with tempo.
Bishop
maybe?
F6.
Yeah.
Bishop F6.
Ready to take with check. So people really getting frustrated with Vidit in the chat. Be nice. All right.
Well, he really has to take his chance.
Yeah, he does. He does. All right. Now you can take with the rook.
And then Wesley will play Queen F2.
Okay. There's. This is just solid defense by Wesley, despite his low time. This is what he does.
It is. He should be suffering this game though. The bishop is so much better than knight. Maybe just take on E1 and play bishop F6.
What about F4? Can I get a? I thought maybe F4.
Okay.
This also
okay. So now he's going to play Queen E3 maybe. Maybe Queen E3.
b5,
So you can.
a5. Okay, what's Wesley doing? He's sacrificing c3
Hmm.
for the idea of b7. Wow.
So e3, king f1.
e3, king f1. Very well calculated. All of a sudden, Wesley is no longer really worse at all.
I mean,
Pawns established on the light squares.
bishop g1. Wait a sec. Wait a sec.
There's
At least we're in some sort of time trouble. I mean,
right, our first
there's
true time scramble of the match. Really.
king c5.
There's
You
just not
want to
enough
you want to hit the
weaknesses.
pawn. You need no. You can do something.
Ooh, he's
Oh, knight
sacrificing
c4.
g3 for knight
No, knight
c4.
c4.
Yeah.
Yeah, knight. Uh,
Yeah.
Vidit's not. He's not pulling the trigger, Danny. The
Yeah.
trigger, like even then, take on g3 or like don't settle with the draw. You could have still taken on g3 or he's gun shy.
Yep.
It's frustrating right now because he's playing well overall, but I don't think he's not maximizing. He's not. Wesley's very frustrating to deal with. And he's
I
just
mean,
not.
Wesley's super accurate and frustrating to deal with, but I think you're right. I think you can't wait for it to be handed to you. You have to take the fight fully, And I think that was the game where you were right. Wesley was not just in a worse position, but the key was he was under time pressure for the first time, really. So
Yeah, well, that position was really good. I mean, that's got to be
yeah,
extremely disappointing because he should have at least won a pawn for his,
right.
good position there, but he got nothing at all. I see my shout out to Alexandra Botes in the chat, Danny. She's my Fortnite partner. We're going to be competing at TwitchCon. We're
Oh yeah,
we're some of the worst Fortnite players in the chess world probably, but
right.
there's going to be Fortnite tournaments.
Where's
And I
that
think
going down?
at TwitchCon. We'll be at TwitchCon. Are you at?
I'm coming for a couple days now. Yeah.
Oh, you are coming, and you didn't tell me.
Changed my
You want to
Isle of Man
surprise
plans.
me.
I hadn't told you yet.
You wanted to surprise me. Okay.
I was gonna surprise you, but so much for that. So,
But yeah, we're training for that.
that sounds fun.
Well, I mean, we got to beat the 10-year-olds.
My son is, pretty good at Fortnite compared to what I can even follow. But
it's like with Fortnite, a lot of people are like, I don't like playing it. All these little kids beat us.
I know.
Well, you know who can relate to that? Chess players.
That's right.
Chess players can really relate to
That's right. Losing to 9-year-old kids.
Losing to
Only
9-year-old
chess
kids.
players do it better than anybody
Yes,
else. That's
yes.
right. All right. Well, Vidit is in a Catalan here, a little bit better as he has been.
Well, we've seen this position reversed, this pawn structure, and Vidit was the one slightly better that game, and I was a big fan of how he played. So now Vidit has the same.
I really like this move, Queen A5 too. And we saw Wesley kind of shaking his head after last game. Knew.
Wesley has an uncomfortable position here.
He knew he got away with one last game, and now he's a little bit frustrated with his position here. We can tell that much.
He cashed in there. I wonder if that was the right choice. It's hard to complain against it, but it also gave Wesley, because Wesley really didn't want Vidit's knight getting to a5. Then it hit c6 with tempo. He won the pawn,
I think it
but
made
it
sense.
gives some sort of counterplay. You have to be very precise in these Catalans.
And if you're white, you can even play c5 here and try to just give up. I like this move.
You have to be active. We want to see him go for it.
Right.
If that means an imbalance, if that means giving his pawn back, but it's gotta change.
Yeah, giving up the b3 pawn for the bishop would have been more than good for white. So Wesley doesn't take it. He's going to try to hold the position as it is. You have a nice position with the knight kind of blockading on c7, but it is a pawn. It's a healthy pawn.
It is a pawn. It's just hard to convert. Wesley's going to be so stubborn here. He's going to put his king f8. He's not going to take on b3. He's not taking on b3 next move. Oh well, now he can't. But the point is, like, he can wait to do that later.
Right.
I mean,
white that's a good point.
Has to untangle and
This is a nice move, though. I mean, if white can get the knight to d3, maybe he wants to eventually bring it. Into f4?
That doesn't. Well, is that maybe knight c1's a bad move? Now I'm getting counterplay. Now what are you gonna do?
Yeah, I think I have to play something like king f1 or f3 and king f2, but okay, he plays king g2.
But even if you get your king to f2, a2 is hanging now. So then what, you're gonna play a4? I mean,
Right.
it's a lot of untangling to do. I think the good thing is though he is playing quicker. He's got this 20, 30-second lead. A lead. I would expect Wesley actually to play fast, that he's down a pawn and he can just sort of play these quick annoying moves. Because
Right.
I don't think Black has to find. I mean, Black's position is fairly easy to play. You're just activating your pieces. That it's up to
Yeah,
Vidit
I
to
mean,
figure out
you're
how
right,
to.
and he's playing fast and
That's
easy
good. That's
moves.
good.
Sometimes easier to play these positions when you're worse as black, just because you get to play faster and your opponent is spending time trying to come up with a winning plan. Okay, a4 played, guards the b5 square. Makes sense. I mean, I still think white is better. I mean, he's up a
So
clean pawn.
what do
So
you think about playing c6? Okay, I wanted to play c6. Wesley's trying to stop that because I wanted to play c6 and bring my knight to c5.
okay, I like this now. c6. You're preparing things like rook b1, rook
So
b7.
f6 here is going okay.
And now white needs to get the rook in quickly to help that pawn. Something
Well,
like
then
rook
you're
b1.
looking at rook b1, rook b6.
Yeah.
That's what you're looking at. Rook b1, rook b6. Maybe plant the bishop on c4 if I can. So knight d4, rook b6, a5, bishop d5. But there's rook c5 in that variation. I think Wesley's going to be this. This is
I
this
like
is
your
closer
idea
to a
there.
draw.
I really like rook b6, a5, bishop d5 because of the threat
But
of bishop
I've
c4.
rook c5 right after bishop d5. It's one move too short.
Okay, rook c5. Okay.
Rook c5, you can play.
He plays
Yeah,
rook
he's
a6
now. You know what?
instead.
Wesley's gonna find the moves. You know, that's
Yep, what he does.
there's some moves that are automatic. He's gonna find, and this is now a passive position for White.
Okay, if only you could
White's
find a way
White's
to move the rook off the sixth rank, though, because if you go to a7 or a8, white, I was going to say, black can't really take on c6 because of rook to c8, and he finds it. This might be a way to make progress.
I can take on f3 and take on c6, and I
Okay.
don't think
Yeah,
that
this
rook endgame
very
has.
straightforward, actually.
I mean, yes, you have the better rook as White right now.
Right.
But you also have a worse pawn structure now, the d3. I put my rook on a6, bring my king in, nothing.
Yeah, rook a6.
Unfortunate, Wesley's being so resilient here, and there's some sort of Vidit is not getting into positions. Wesley's never really giving him a position where there's a line, there's a concrete line.
Right.
He's always got to like grovel. Wait.
Yeah,
He didn't play.
that was weird. Just
Okay.
gives up the a5 pawn. Now Vidit has something, especially with Wesley's
Why
time.
did he give up the a5
I don't
pawn?
know what he was worried about.
So he's going to push the pawn to a6?
Right.
Or is he going to bring... Okay, no?
Rook a6, he maybe has some... I don't know what Vidit's doing. Now he goes to a6.
Well, then the rook should be on a8, right?
Yeah.
Okay,
so there's several different ways.
F3. Let's start with F3.
Yeah,
here.
I was gonna say you play F3, you play King F4, you play G4, and you.
I might actually run my king over to G5.
Yeah, and one of the points here, everyone, is you're trying to manufacture G4 because this trade creates the potential for Harry to become a real boy.
That's a good move. That's a good move.
Yeah, I like it.
Rook H8's not good here because I can just block with F6, so there's no Rook H6 idea.
Now you've got to play A7 to keep the rook stuck.
Okay.
You're trading A for H, but I don't think that really helped White's winning chances.
Did he need to do that?
Yeah, I don't think so. With you.
I don't, and you know what I mean. Like, wait a little more. You're at 10 seconds. Maybe wait till you're at 3 seconds. You have the leverage there. That
poke and prod a little bit longer.
Timing. He's not torturing Wesley enough.
Yep.
And Wesley's doing a very good job of holding. Of course, I mean he's just showing off his defensive skills, but. Let's see.
Okay, I mean, Vidit is still in the driver's seat, but now no longer with any kind of time advantage to speak of. So, one of those games where you start to have nightmares that somebody blunders as white and actually loses on time. Okay, he hasn't done it yet, but worries you. Oh, there you go. Nice simplification. Quickly recognizing the drawn king and pawn ending with white's king being misplaced. That's a useful tactic to add to the database in your head, fans. and be aware of your opportunities to simplify into easier endgames. So, shout out to Taco Nexus right there with some biddies coming in
500 bits. Thank you, Taco Nexus.
for the prize fund. But all right, the match continues. 3-game lead remains. Opening's getting a little bit more variety. Still a lot of Catalan, just different variations of it. But here, what happened here? This was again another Catalan, but a different variation than we've seen so far. Wesley,
So many Catalan.
yeah. Wesley's down a pawn, but there's all kinds of compensation, I guess, based on Black's c4 pawn, White having the bishop pair. But I admit I'm not familiar with it. Should White be playing bishop c3 in these lines errors to take a5 and gobble c4, or do you try to play things like bishop d6?
I think bishop d6. I think use the center. I think
Yeah.
you're only going to try to win the pawn back if you get really good compensation. I don't think it's a rush to do it right now. Because the bishop on e5 is good, and knight on a5 is it's doing its one job there, and if you can play around that, that would be preferred. If you can use that bishop. Bishop c3. It's not going to take yet.
Yep.
Okay.
All right. The problem is if you don't take on a5 and take c4, then Black is getting the other rook to c8. Sounds like Eric is bailing somebody out of a tough situation there at the Chessbrah headquarters. So, all right, we may see tickle. I don't think Wesley wants to tickle this one out. No, he doesn't. He's going to play rook takes c4 and with the trade, hopefully be a little bit better in the endgame. Both sides sporting doubled isolated a pawns. It's the new fashion. What's in style? Okay, but no, I think Black should not trade and bring this knight into a square that targets. Black should play rook fc8. Try to stare down the trade there. Seems kind of funny and simple when you're in these types of endgames where both sides seemingly have the same exact weaknesses. The pawn structure on the king side is completely symmetrical. But what that often means is the first person to get the initiative, who's going to be on the open file, who's going to be the first person with better placed pieces, can quickly run away from the other player. So you have to be careful in thinking that this is just a simple draw. Black needs to, I think, play rook fc8 and not let White just quickly start accessing b7 with the rook and the good squares with the knight. So
yeah, I mean that bishop on g2 looks a lot better than its counterpart, and if White can ever get a pawn going, then
yeah,
there'll be no resistance right now with the bishop and the b file in White's favor.
Yeah, so Vidit taking his time here to figure out what happened in that weird middle game transition. Rook fc8 to me seems like kind of the no-brainer, so I'm a little curious what he's calculating. But okay.
That's actually a fair point. I'm
not sure
I don't see
he's
another
looking
move.
At. He's leaned in. We've lost most of Vidit's face here, getting a good look at his. We'll call that the afternoon nap hair. So pretty sure Vidit probably caught himself some Z's before this match started, if I had to guess. Playing from Prague. What's he doing in Prague, by the way? Is he preparing? Was he have seconds there?
He posted a picture. He's with Hare Krishna.
Oh, okay. Very good.
Who I think lives in Prague or.
Right.
Anyways, they're playing for a Czech team in the European Club Cup, which starts in a few days. They're one of the strongest teams in Europe, and Magnus is playing there, so I think they're preparing to take him down.
Okay, so strange decision there. He does decide to trade and bring the knight into the most active way to attack the queen side, kind of what I was advocating against. But
I actually don't mind what he did.
Yeah, I was going to say, but he's got some counterplay here. I was focused on not letting my opponent get more activity to win the pawns, but he said, well, maybe I give them up and try to flip the script on who has the initiative with the rook to c2. It's still double-edged, though. I mean, if Wesley... This move g5 is so nice, right?
Yep.
Because now bishop f3 is met by things like g4. So G5 was really kind of a key to making this whole sacrifice work for black.
I mean, white's position is a little loose. I almost wish, I could play rook c1 check and get my bishop to h3 in time. I don't see how to do that, but it's already very close.
I thought there may have been rook c1 and bishop b5 coming to e2. Oh, there was just king g2. Okay.
Yeah. Well, Vidit's on the good side of this. If he feels like he can't win, then that explains why he just traded rooks. But otherwise, he could have even kept the rooks on the board.
But okay, I mean, as time ticks by here in the 3-minute segment, we're essentially seeing Wesley, I don't want to say mail this one in, but he's not really being challenged enough.
That's right. His knight on a7 is stuck here. Vidit might be counting on somehow trapping it, right? Because you play bishop knight d6, and bring the king over to b6. Is he in time? Or does Wesley have resources? And it looks like Wesley has some resources there. He's trying
to create something out of nothing. If he can get the king over there, this knight is trapped. But here comes the knight out to c6, I think. Okay. Smart idea by Wesley, actually. Doesn't want to be left with the bishop versus the knight in this ending. Prefers the pony-on-pony action. So, smart decision there, I think, from Wesley to play bishop c6. All right, well, this one kind of moving along here, inching along. Feels like a little bit of the energy is being sucked out based on Vidit's inability to kind of create something. Mubot just reminding everybody our next Speed Chess Championship match is on Thursday, less than 48 hours from now. Maxime Vacher-Legrave versus Hikaru Nakamura. A lot of people say it's the finals. Whoever wins that will be favored to maybe win against Aronian and win the whole thing. So make sure you're here on Thursday.
I would probably agree with that. Although the Polish kid is
he's surprised many lately.
Hot thing these days. Yeah, it's really good to get some new names involved. Well, here Vidit, he hasn't won since I don't remember.
It's been a while.
Been a long time, and it must be extremely frustrating at this point.
All right, well,
he's had many decent positions. He's not playing bad overall. I mean, he's dealing with one of the best players in the world, but he's not prolonging the pressure enough. He's somehow not the positions. He's playing decent moves, but they're not the ones that Wesley struggles with either. Like Wesley also is happy with the way with how Vidit's treating these positions. It's like, yes, you get a very small edge against me, but I'm comfortable playing this for 30 moves and eventually drawing it out.
Yeah.
They're still in this normal encyclopedia of positions or something, where you just knows how to, I don't know.
They're not problems to be solved, right? Yeah. Where it's amazing when you think of just how good all of these guys are, and then you compare a match like this, someone like Magnus's match versus Wesley, where Magnus seemingly had no problems creating problems that Wesley had trouble solving game after game, right?
Mm-hmm.
And, stylistic differences, and it's just, a level of chess understanding and maybe a practical approach that is more challenging for a player than another. So I agree with you. I mean, okay, look, we're looking at another position where White's slightly better. No one's denying it. White has the edge on the C-file. But it doesn't feel like
there should be something here. I'm thinking, knight G5, maybe?
I like queen to C7.
Queen C6 is supernatural. Very, very...
I want to bring the lady here.
Good.
7 or C6, ladies' night.
No, ladies' night. Then I'm in.
Yep, you're in, right?
I'm always ladies' night is good.
$2 drinks, man. Bring her in. There you go.
Okay, there we go.
I like this actually.
Queen C6. Are you going to take back on B5 with the pawn or the queen?
Oh, I kind of like taking with the pawn just because I love where she landed here, and there's threats of bishop C7.
Then let's do it. We'll take the pawn. Bring the knight in. This is a good pressure. Queen C8.
I feel like all we needed to do to pick up the energy was mention ladies' night. Now Vidit's going.
Oh, you mentioned ladies' night, and everyone starts waking up.
That's all we had to do. Here we go. Queen comes to C6, and okay, but bishop C7.
Bishop c7, there's knight e5 as
Okay, I like your move
well.
95 even better. Now
But I'm
notice.
not sure about trading.
No,
But
but I
yeah,
like you had this discovered attack on the e4 knight, right?
yes.
I like that
Yep,
idea.
yep.
Okay, he likes your idea too.
Let's get the speed in there.
Bishop
Bishop c7
takes.
is now going to be a threat. There's multiple threats.
Take with the bishop. What are you doing?
This is really tough for Wesley.
Difference of huge. Yeah, I was gonna say there's no reason not to just take with the bishop. So surprised he even took 20 seconds there, but okay.
Knight d6. All right.
Black is trying to defend.
This is a very, very tough position to play. Vidit just needs to keep this position. He doesn't need to convert
Right.
it yet. So
Just
maybe
needs
play
to-
e3, maybe put the bishop on d3, king g2,
Right.
prepare f3, e4.
Right.
Hang out a little bit here because you have almost, yeah, it's very hard for black to find them.
And this could be a pivotal moment based on things you've talked about, where
This is big.
that it doesn't need to try too hard to find the best moves to win this position, right? You need to put your opponent under time pressure and let them struggle with the format. Okay, so this is
3 is a consideration. G4, I like that.
Like this. No, you couldn't play h5 right away, everyone, because g5 would have trapped the bishop on f4. So this is good. Threatening both h5 and g5 as possible ideas. Also, Eric's idea of bishop f1 to d3 and then h5. I like it. 98. Okay, bishop d3 was your... Okay,
Bishop
Wesley's going to
was
play
one-
bishop d6. That's his point.
Yes.
Okay.
So I'd like to play e4, but d4 is falling in that variation.
Okay, so 98. Classic Wesley So, right? Coming up with some tricky way to defend the position.
No, but seriously.
Okay. h5 comes, but here comes bishop d6. Eric, do we still have enough here for white?
I almost want to play bishop h6 here, but it doesn't.
Yeah.
Doesn't do anything. Then I
You
might get my
could call the
bishop stuck.
bluff of black. Is Wesley really going to want to take f4 and bring the pawn up with f5? Because then I'm undermining this d5 pawn on the light squares. But maybe... I don't know how we sit. I mean, you could play bishop f1, even though that removes the bishop from the diagonal. I kind of want to see if black is really going to take, but maybe if he takes f4, he can then play f5 himself and stick it to that pawn on f4.
Yeah, there's an element of risk now for Vidit because
the double b pawns, the
double b
positions,
pawns,
yeah.
the knight and king can corral that, and
Right.
his bishop on g2 is stuck on the wrong side, right? I mean, unless you get an e4, it's not actually making an impact.
And the time would suggest that that's kind of how he feels too. He started taking a lot of it, and now Vidit's down on time.
Bishop d3, finally threatening bishop takes g6. Oh, no.
Yeah, I liked your move. Take g6.
Bishop should be on d3. Why is the bishop on
why did
e2?
he go to e2?
Why is it not on the more aggressive square? I mean, black, I don't know.
No, I think you made a great point. I'm gonna show it on the analysis board because I love it that much. I think that he should have played bishop d3. The point, there was a tactic here, but if black moves the knight to avoid it, white has things like queen h8 flipping around. Well, I think Eric was right there, and I think Vidit...
He's facing a wall, but he's also not playing the most...
He's facing a wall, but he brought like a fork instead of a sledgehammer. You know, we're not denying Wesley So's defensive accuracy and wall, but it's just, you know, the tempo of the match can only change if you kind of make it happen. You got to jump the cage, as Eric said. McGregor taught us all.
His opponent as well, Habib. It was entertaining.
All right, well, now we have what was this? A Caro Kann? Okay, I can go for a little Caro in my life. I don't think that black has many winning chances in these structures when white plays well, like Wesley so often does. But okay. It's a minority attack. You've got this 2 pawns versus 3 pawns on the king side. Black is going to want to play things like b5 and b4 positionally, and white wants to put the knight on e5.
Let's do that. Rook e1, knight e5, generate some counterplay against black's king side there. Queen c7 is okay. That allows knight e5, but that's not the end of the world.
This may be one of the more animated, kind of fidgety Wesley So's we've seen in a while. Again, I don't know what's going on with the birthday boy, but we look at him. He's been bouncing around all over the place, Eric, on camera. Just
It's the food in Georgia.
the food in Georgia. It's maybe ate something
Yeah,
spicy. Who knows? I don't
yeah.
know. All right. Well, White finally gets the knight d5. If you don't know about these structures, now you know, Witchers. If you don't know, now you know. White wants the knight on e5. You're trying to create the structure that enables you to attack on the king side. Black wants b4 like it's going out of style to try to create some positional targets here, minority attack. So that's what the players are doing.
I mean, Wesley should be feeling pretty good. He hasn't lost in like an hour. You know, it's been pretty smooth since he stopped repeating that line. This game, I was thinking he either leaves the knight on c4, which he didn't. He played b3 because otherwise, maybe you just start playing f4, f5, something a bit more
Now you
aggressive.
got to deal with c3, right? And
a4.
a4 renews the idea of bringing this pony back where he belongs on c4. Indeed. I think Vidit's played well again. I mean, this has been a good one, and look at time again. We've seen a consistent time advantage as both sides head under a minute, Eric, but then Vidit just can't quite keep it, right?
Vidit has built up a time advantage in this second half of this match.
Almost every game, yeah.
Yes, and he's not converting that. Okay, now
look at this tactics all over the place.
I mean, it opens it up for the bishop there. King f1 is nice. The king is completely safe there, and you can use the h file for his own benefit. Yeah. And now I think Vidit, after queen takes f6.
What's the idea? Oh, he's just going to simplify. Okay. Not a bad idea. You bring the threat of bishop to d2 in. We've got a lot of dark square pawns.
Yeah, but d5 is coming. I'm going to play g3, maybe king g2. But d5 at the right time, maybe I get your pawns first.
Yeah, and white also has pawns on light squares to attack. So you've got this.
Maybe king g2, bring the rook to h5.
Versus light squares and dark squares. I'm sorry, I just LOL because of a great Photoshop tweet. I'm sorry. We got to focus on this game, but it'll be coming up here for those of you that aren't. Those of you that aren't.
So you can take and play bishop b7 now, and after rook c7, rook takes e6. This is
owie.
Yep.
What in the world? Yep. How did Vidit let that one slip? Oh. Wesley looks to his side. Hikaru Nakamura, number 14, which is the look to your side and down. You're kind of just.
No, he's looking for a bailout now. Maybe rook b8, but no, rook b8 you lose. No, I don't.
No, I think Wesley's just winning.
This is not good.
Wesley is just winning, and the fans are winning on Twitter. This was just so great. You're in it. You're at the party, and apparently Magnus Carlsen is the clown invited to Wesley So's. Looks like a 7-year-old girl's birthday. I'm sorry. I think.
I like that one a lot. I like that Matter Monkey's there, and he's looking at.
It's so good. Everybody's there. I'm not there. I wasn't invited, which is typical.
Fun party, and I've never partied with Grishuk. I would love.
Oh, I would love to party with Sasha. Yeah, I never get invited to parties. Like ever since I was a kid. By the way, it was weird. I found out about friends' birthdays like the next day. So
Yasser's got his the face he makes when he wins a pawn. Okay. When he wins a pawn.
Yeah, well, Wesley just won a pawn, so Yasser's face is appropriate. Pretty funny.
Bring the king to e4 if you can here. King g2, f3, e4. Maybe support that with f5. Vidit's going to stop that. That's a good move.
Yeah.
If you can get that rook behind to like a1 and pick off that a3 pawn, you're going to get some counterplay, but hard to achieve. In fact, yeah, you know what I'm going to do? Just king g2. I'm going to do the same plan. Rook d7, rook e5. And I am going to walk the king to e4. You're not going to be able to stop that. This is from bad to worse.
Bad to worse. Out of the frying pan and directly into the fire.
Yeah. So Vidit wants to get that bishop to f6 at least to target that long-term weakness. But this is not the sort of thing he wants to deal with when he's down 3 games. He's been pushing a little bit in the set. You know, he's got some reasonable positions. This is not one of them. This is where he's in tilt territory because he hasn't won in a long time, and time is ticking. King f3.
Wait, rook takes d5? Did he just miss that? Rook e1?
Yeah, rook takes d5, rook takes e7.
Great, and then like
Yeah,
black is getting to d3.
yeah, yeah, that's correct. Rook takes d5 here.
65. Vidit might have just gotten a slight bailout to keep this match within a 3-game striking distance.
At the end of that line, I'll play rook e6 check, king drops back, rook.
That's it. Yeah, rook e6 intermezzo is
Then
key.
rook e5. So it's still, but it seems like the best try. Check, bishop. Yeah. Well, this is not good.
Okay. Oh,
Bishop
bishop
e4
e4.
check. Game over.
Wesley smiles. Vidit shakes his head. The birthday boy's happy with all the presents coming his way on this Speed Chess Championship Tuesday. Well, we were just talking about how he had defended. Could he have taken c3 there, Eric? Obviously, he blundered, but I feel like
he's still suffering there. I think there's still
okay.
high.
So he was still suffering, but obviously the blunder doesn't help. And now we have our biggest lead of the match. Wesley gaining separation as they head into the bullet. But if Vidit is half as dominant as he was over Andriasyan and bullet, the match isn't over. Those of you who watched that match know that it was tied headed into bullet, but then Vidit ended up winning the match by like 6 or 8 games or something. So don't give up just yet. Don't give up on us, baby. And we now are seeing a repeat of an opening we saw earlier in the match where funny, A5 is played, Eric, because you remember how Wesley lost that game, right? With the B4 trick.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
So Wesley says, I'm not going to blunder B4 anymore. Wow. Yeah, Sniper Chess Diamond member asking if it's theory. And they're playing like it's theory, whether it is or not, right?
No, I think it definitely is, and
yeah. Okay, the knight comes to d3. This is going to make a lot of sense. You want to put pressure here on this battery. You got a bit of a skewer going. Which reminds me, for those of subs who didn't know, we finally launched the skewer emote I've been talking about. There we go. Now we got pins, we got skewers, we got forks. Everything to your heart's content.
what I'm just thinking, like, what's in Vidit's head right now?
Right.
This is not fun.
Yeah.
This is not being a smooth ride. Even in this 3-minute portion, I said a while ago it was a must win, and that win is being elusive. It's not easy to come by, but these games, what can we do differently? Like I'm not actually sure what I can suggest.
Yeah, well,
I don't think I have any.
You can't ask better than the openings he's been getting and the time advantages he's been getting. But you know, we've had 3 of these losses. I throw up to some big blunders like last game. But you know, I guess it's not totally fair because he did get outplayed. In addition to that, I mean, you can't blunder unless you're put in a position to do so. It's like how we described when Wesley loses matches to Magnus, right? I mean,
Magnus definitely brings in a unique set of problems when he plays Wesley. He's not trying to beat him from the opening. It's these middle games and just challenging positions.
Yeah. Wesley's playing well here today, making it hard for his opponent. And I guess the other way to look at it too is when the tables were turned, when Wesley is worse, he's not blundering. He's finding those accurate, I called it stockfish defensive approaches, right?
Yeah.
So the
King G6 here. What if I just oscillate? King G6, King F7, King E6, sort of roaming territory. Oh, he's starting E4 and bishop takes A5.
Ah, that's a tactic. Okay. Although there is rook D4, but yeah.
But then I'll trade into the end game. So E4 and bishop takes A5. So
that's
did it with some small pressure here, and he's up 40 seconds on the clock. He's played faster. He did that.
But I feel like we've been here 40 seconds as they had to admit it. That it's better. You got to convert on one of these. If you win this game and you bring it to a 3-game deficit only heading into bullet, I'd like to think we're still in striking distance. Celtic Frost going nuts with the bits and the support. Thank you, but even though there's 3 minutes left, this could be the last 3-minute game pretty easily.
So now with bishop c3, he's still preparing e4, and then there's no rook d4 in that variation. because e4 can't be stopped. So seeing some problems posed, and he's got a minute lead.
To show,
he's got to get into this endgame here with the edge.
Show the tactics for our members in the analysis board here in the Batcave. This is the tactic Eric keeps highlighting. Overwhelming
Rook
the b6
c6
pawn.
now. Let's go rook c6. Ready to go for some sort of endgame. Rook c6, rook c5. Are they? Is Wesley saying that the bishop endgame is okay for black? It actually could be. There could be lines where black's king actually penetrates pretty quickly as well.
King g5 and h4. That's a great point. Okay, we're going to find out because I think Wesley's going to put his rook on c5 here.
Rook on c5, king to d3.
Yeah, the reason Eric was skeptical of this, everyone, is that these pawns on the dark squares are much easier for Wesley to get to, or sorry, for Vidit to get to and target with the king and the bishop. But if black can get king g5 and h4, then the counterplay comes in time, and Vidit never gets to see this plan through.
I think he can, still maximize this a lot. King f3. I'm going to take on f5. I'm going to play g4 check. I'm going to win the e4 square. Yeah.
I'm with you.
Yeah.
I think that this was a tougher problem than we realized with the bishop takes a5 trick, which kind of forced Wesley into this bishop e7 approach that we saw here. The thread and
take on f5, play g4, and plant your king on e4, and try to force
serious winning chances.
He can do that. He can milk this. He can wait.
And this move just threatens bishop e3.
Yeah, improving his pieces. This is the biggest time lead. This is what he needs.
The biggest moment of the match from the perspective that you bring this within 3 games. You're not in that impossible. I mean, okay, not to say that it's not possible. We have seen one 4-game deficit overcome in our format history here, but
is bishop e3 playable here, Danny?
Winning king and pawn ending. You ring. You rang. Let's see it.
I think the
question
is
whether black.
I think so. I think it is.
Yeah, I think white wins. And I think Vidit is going to calculate all of that right now.
Bishop e3. He's got the time. Will he find it?
This is where the time advantage is critical and what we've been touting. This is where Vidit can now use what he's earned on the clock and hopefully calculate a victory. Yeah, he does.
He's played it.
He finds it.
Be winning king pawn endgame.
And we've just been informed by our official judge that this will be the last game. The clock is out. Time is up.
That's huge, Danny. Vidit needed that one. He really needed that one.
Yeah.
And honestly, other games could have been like that, but he got that in before the bullet portion. It's a 3-game match.
No,
anything can happen still.
That's what the doctor ordered as far as, you have to keep the match close. You brought it now into only a 3-game deficit here against the birthday boy. We are going to take a very, very quick break, the quickest we've ever taken. Don't go anywhere. Nearly 6,000 of you will be with us in the bullet portion. We still have a match completely within striking distance. Vidit Gujarati wins the last game of the 3-minute. We will have bullet when Eric and I return very soon. And we have the updated scorecard. It is a 3-game lead as we head now into the bullet portion. Thank you to all of those that are with us, whether you be joining via Chess.com TV, via Twitch.tv/chess. Lots of fun, lots of support today for our players. And I want to highlight the end of that. We went to break really quickly, let everyone kind of step away for a second as our players did. But since they're not quite back yet, I want to highlight Eric's instructive recognition very quickly of why this king and pawn ending would be winning. 2 things you can all put in your pocket about that. 1, your king is closer to that side of the board. And 2, you have the outside pass g-pawn, which by definition means their king will be trailing yours as both sides race toward the other side of the board. So it took Vidit 40 seconds, as you should always do. Just because you know the principles, Eric, you still got to calculate and prove the principles were right? Vidit takes some time before playing bishop e3. So if you're just joining us, a huge win and an instructive moment there in that endgame to send us into the bullet portion. So if you are in the Vidit Gujarati camp, you couldn't be more thrilled about that as he comes back now to the board. So there you go, Eric. Psychologically, a huge momentum shift. You had been highlighting that Vidit hadn't won in more than an hour. So is it time for the Vidit hype train to get rolling? We saw what he did in Andriasyan and Bullet. What do you think he can do here?
I think that really is going to give him a a boost because it must have been so frustrating. And what was nice about that game was it wasn't actually, it was just a small edge. He
Yep.
can convert, like he didn't need to move mountains
Right.
to win that game.
Yep.
Put Wesley under small, consistent pressure, kept the pieces on the board.
Yep.
And the conversion actually was the easiest part. Just calculate the winning king and pawn endgame.
Yep.
So it's not as
That's
hard
how
as
you
it may
draw
seem.
it up in the playbook, right?
Yeah.
That's what you want, right? When you're drawing your plans up at home and you say, "Here's how I want to win this match." That's kind of how you do it. And everyone has a plan until they get punched in the face, though, right? And now it's all the bets are off. We're in the bullet portion, and we'll see who can hold themselves together and get a streak going here. So we are off to see the wizard, the bullet Wizard of Oz, Wesley So. 3-game lead. Here we go. 30 minutes left in this
the
match.
openings, Vidit going
Look
for
at this.
these
I love
millions.
it. That's what we want to see, right? Sicilian
That is.
hype.
And not even the Najdorf, something different.
Not even Najdorf. Whoa. A dubious classical. Okay. Not a Najdorf, not a dragon, a dubious classical. But Vidit is going to do everything he can in the bullet to do something, give something that Wesley hasn't seen yet. I think that's a good psychological strategy, Eric. I don't know if you agree. And 2, you just have to create winning chances. And you do that sometimes by creating losing chances, right?
Absolutely.
So
Absolutely. I think in this bullet portion, he can vary it up more against Wesley. There's no excuse not to.
Yep.
These guys have other weapons, and no point keeping them in the shed the whole match. So
now we've kind of transposed into a traditional Najdorf with this A5 line, where White usually pretty comfortably play things like A4. I admit that I actually think that, okay, with some experience on the black side of these, if White hasn't stopped A4 at a certain point, you got to be ready to give up that pawn to keep the long-term counterplay so the positional grind doesn't happen. Something like A4 yourself, but okay, Vidit's up a little bit on time.
A4, A3 is going to be on the board, maybe.
Right,
maybe
and now that you I was going to say, I agree, now that you haven't done it, I feel like Wesley is supposed to play A4 earlier in these lines, and I think if you look it up, fans, I think there's actual theory there. So,
well, one difference between this and Najdorf is he didn't play A6, so he's actually up a tempo, right?
Right. Well, there's a line in the Najdorf with this A5 line, right? This English attack, and now he's got D5.
Yeah.
I mean, this is Maxime would be proud of Black's position here. We'll say that. A little bit of edge on the clock too. So if Vidit can start off with a win in bullet,
Knight D5.
Knight D5, you got to bring it in. Then B5, B4. Okay, but now Wesley seems to have consolidated. He's got the H file opening up.
It's true, but I'll play Bishop F6, and I'll Bishop F6.
Without a dark square bishop.
I mean, Najdorf players aren't afraid. Dragon players aren't afraid of this.
Not at all, right? Yeah, not at all. Yeah.
He's up a bunch of time. This is a great position for Vidit. I mean,
Agreed.
To be in, not that the positions necessarily.
Yep. Ooh, C2. That's ooh, C4. Look for tactics. Here comes Knight takes B2 and Rook takes C2.
Knight takes B2.
Knight takes B2 and Rook takes C2.
So Knight takes B2, Queen H7 check. But then maybe I play Queen H7 and then I take.
But I take C2. That just feels
King. It feels good, but
maybe that's
what he was afraid of. No. I mean, I'm not sure if they saw it, but
yeah,
he's got to find something quick because Wesley's starting to swarm him with pieces here. Maybe King F8, just so you don't have to worry about checks.
Yeah, that's a good practical prophylactic move, and Eric,
Queen E6.
Great bullet advice there. King F8, just so you don't have to worry about checks. C2 still falling. Now you have Knight C4 back.
That's a good move. Is Knight F? Okay.
Here comes the knight around to. Okay.
Rook Knight C4 being prepared. Nice. Now the B2 pawn is
now the B2 pawn is under fire, and how do you defend it?
Wesley did it. He kept his knight there, so he could always retreat. And now you're in trouble. Rook D7.
Now you're in big trouble. The time has turned around
Bishop
too.
D5.
Rook C7. Rook C. Oh, I thought he had Rook C7 as the kind of last shot.
Well, what he did.
No, it's got to be mate. Rook takes G7 and Queen C2. Did he miss that?
Oh,
I
yes,
think he missed it, and
yes,
the knight is pinned its mate.
Queen D2 check.
Rook C2, and then Queen B1 is mate.
Well. Oh.
Whoa!
That's what happens when
finish.
2 wins in a row for Vidit. There we go. That was a sharp
game. The 300 or so viewers that just checked out, they better come back because I think we might see the year of the underdog continue.
I'm not sure we're allowing re-entry in this.
Yeah, we're not allowing the no takebacks. Wow,
I'll take
that was
that.
exciting. That was bananas. Wow. Okay, well, back to the Catalan. Wesley kind of shifted in his chair after that loss. He knows the match is still on. And
That's going to happen in Sicilians when the players are down to 5-10 seconds,
yep.
and if there's opposite side castling, someone's gonna get KO'd there, even from a winning position. So now we have this position. I think Vidit could have milked it better last time. So let's see if he made some
Yeah.
adjustments here.
So last time the idea I liked, even though you were saying we kind of had to trade the knight, I thought that knight could have come from b3 to d3 to f4 for like a long-term maneuver, but maybe there's just not time.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, goes back and forth. Rook to c1. I kind of like putting the rook on d4.
He wants to get the knight to f5.
Huh.
He wasn't getting time for that. So now
Right.
knight d4. Now knight d4, and you can put your queen on c2 and get that knight to f5. And then, well, no trade. Knight d4.
Knight
Let's go.
d4, bring it into f5. Got to create
Knight
counterplay.
d4. Maybe put the queen on c2, rook on h1, or rook on g1. Maybe start preparing g5. Queen c2. Okay, just going for the pure endgame. But this is a much more interesting looking position than the last one because it's imbalanced a bit here. Bishop e2 and f4,
Yeah.
or bishop here and f4 is even better. He's going to put the bishop on c2. He's going to play f4, king f3. He's going to try to use his kingside majority, maybe push g5 at some point and generate h pawn. But in the meantime,
and Wesley's going to try to get counterplay as well.
f4. No, f4 doesn't work now because there's g6. Well, that was slightly mistimed then. It would have been really nice to get an f4 and king f3, which was possible. He didn't need to play b3 at the time he did.
Yeah, I think you're right. And Wesley just wants to get the knights off the board for obscure bishop draws. Here comes
There's
f4.
The f4 move.
It's a very instructive point, though, that you highlighted about this g5 coming. Whenever you have a majority, you don't always have to create it with the e-pawn. You've got this idea of using the majority for an outside passer by getting g5.
Let's put that bishop from c2 to c4 here.
Oh, I like that. I like the way you work it. No diggity. Put the bishop on f3, bring the king into c4. Here he goes. Here he goes. Okay, Wesley's defending a bad endgame.
This is a very, very difficult endgame.
Here comes e5. Not yet.
Not yet.
Not yet. f6.
So where's the breakthrough here? This is
that was a
Wesley
nice.
has set up the fortifications. So f6, h6, c6.
Yeah, can't ask for much better. Now Wesley finally trying to use his 3-on-2 majority.
No, he's neutralized that. There was something was missing there. Well, Wesley's just right in time.
Calculating.
No, yeah.
Yeah, okay, right decision, I think. But Vidit would like still to eventually manufacture a breakthrough here, whether it be with e5 or g5. Knight f5 is coming.
Knight c4. Or knight f5 or knight c4. Knight f5 looks good. Knight f5 looks really good. Is that a blunder?
I think that was a mistake, trading f4 for g7.
Oh, I didn't realize f4 was hanging. Well, then...
No, but I thought he was going to play bishop e3 and then bring the knight out to e6. Okay, now we're on the peaceful path.
I take that back about the knight hop. Yeah.
All right. Well.
Again, Vidit with a good position from the opening, but Wesley was right in time to stop e5.
22 minutes left. 2-game lead for Wesley So. The close matches in the 2018 Speed Chess Championship continue. We love that. But we've seen a lot of Catalan, so maybe somebody will write a theoretical book about this match at some point, because I'm sure there's some hidden gems of home prep between these two guys in today's match.
He's going for the quick b4 maybe? Is that queen b6? Trying to utilize that a-pawn. Rook fc8, maybe bring a rook, maybe knight to c4.
Ooh, I like this
play
move.
Knight a5, knight c4. It's a possibility there.
Vidit has significantly sped up here in the bullet, consistently up on time, even if just by a couple seconds. Well, he sped up in the 3-minute. That's when it kind of started, and he's continued that trend. But here, Wesley's better.
In terms of clock management?
Well, I think in terms of the position on the board, I think Wesley's a little better. B5 is weak. D5 is weak.
Yeah, if you don't get to push those pawns, you can't get that breakthrough in, then yeah, these pawns become targets.
Yeah.
And D5 is weak. If it's a close position, yeah, I can definitely understand.
Yeah, Vidit kind of slowly working his way out of it. C files become more critical than his B5 pawn weakness, and again, up almost 15 seconds on time.
Yeah, well, he's got an outside past a pawn, but it's hard to push it anywhere, and white will have a C file after. It's a funny imbalance there here with rook takes C1 and trading everything off. Rook C5, yes. The practical move, great. Now
Very
you put a
nice
knight on
move.
D4. No, this is very uncomfortable.
Take a good look at that D4 square because that pony is going to be on it for a while.
Bishop on A6 is the worst piece possible.
The worst
This
piece possible. No
very...
squares to move. I love that description. Look at this. This is Tigran Petrosian just clapped from heaven. So this is an exchange sacrifice worthy of the Armenian Godfather. I love this. Positional chess at its best.
So if Vidit gets time, he wants to put the bishop on C8. Reroute it because that was not...
White can play queen G6, and then there's threats of bishop B1. Oh, now there's threats of bishop B1 immediately. I love this for So.
Rook E5 now? Rook E5. Yeah, I'm going to have to play F5 at some point. He's just going to give back the material.
Yeah.
What happens after Rook D1?
You have to go back to B6.
Whoa.
Ooh. World? Is that possible?
Yeah. It is possible. Queen C1.
Queen C1 is just simple. Keep the pieces on the board and then go C7 next move. No, he trades. What did he calculate?
Rook D7, maybe?
Rook D7. No.
And then, no.
Resourceful. I thought maybe we would see bishop B3 here at some point by Vidit to try to draw the endgame. Yeah, here comes bishop B3. Bishop B4 check, you can play G6. No, rook D7 is winning. Okay, so you got to stop bishop B4 first with F5. Yeah, you want...
But he's in time with this...
Why didn't he play bishop B3? I wanted bishop B3 the whole time. A3 was never good because the bishop just guards A2. Okay, bishop B1, I guess.
King F6? King F6?
Bishop B1 was a move there. If bishop C8, A2, black was getting a queen.
These guys are close to flagging.
Oh, literally on the increment.
Yeah, but this is close.
Close to over. Here comes bishop E6 and Vidit. Wow, I don't know whether bishop to B3 would have held instead of A3, but felt like Vidit just played that move sort of in the time scramble, thinking he has to push his pawn, but that was just not the way to hold.
I mean, that's a sort of back and forth game he needs, but in this case, he was sort of on the wrong end of it. He couldn't, with just a couple seconds, couldn't find those accurate moves that we were looking for. It wasn't easy to play at all because it seemed like Wesley was quicker. Yep. Originally, he was quicker. I mean, he had a good position there, but bishop B3 was the
Wesley So gets his first win of the bullet portion, and the match is back to a 3-game lead. So, with time on the clock, Vidit's still within striking distance here for sure, but time to win or go home. Okay. Again, so Vidit on the better side of these Catalans pretty consistently here, but White gets an edge in a lot of Catalan, right? Doesn't take a rocket scientist.
Yeah, I think Wesley's okay with this one, but for what Vidit's looking for, he's got the B file, he's got the C4 potential. Keep the pieces on. Yeah. Maybe knight just simply back to F3.
Ooh.
Back up the knight. What is he going to do?
Knight Surprised by that. I thought he...
Okay. This is something Catalan players know about. The move doesn't come as naturally to me.
Yeah.
To accept these pawns.
These double D pawns are just fine for White, although if Wesley gets the knight to C4...
Well, he's going to get the knight to C4.
Unless White can play C4 now, right? Because you can't take E5. Oh, you can just take A4?
I'll take A4 and I'll be happy.
Maybe that feels like something went wrong there for Vidit.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Now, all of a sudden, some of these endgames, black can easily start pushing.
Yep.
The double. No, he's going to have to bail out. Well, he encouraged the exchange, so there was something a little off there.
I think he just miscalculated knight b6, knight c4. I think you were right that Catalan players are aware of this double d pawns being flexible for white, offering winning chances, but I think he just miscalculated knight b6, knight c4.
I like queen c5 right now, and if rook c7, queen e5, hitting the rook and hitting e4.
I like that too. I highlighted
Although
it.
there is queen f4
Okay.
on the end of that, but yeah.
Vidit saw it anyway. Now he's threatening queen f4.
Queen's,
So watch
yeah.
out. Okay. So stops this idea. Not too much time left here. 15 minutes for Mr.
Queen d4
Gujarati to
maybe,
make his
just trade
move.
things off. Okay.
Rook d4. I like the threat of rook to c4. So stops
e5?
it.
Is he going to go for e5? There we go. e5 is a good move.
I love this move. Only chance to
Rook
win.
d7?
Rook d7.
Rook d7.
Rook d7. Is it
And then
winning?
queen f4. And then queen f4.
It is
king
winning.
g8, king g8. Ooh.
Rook takes
well,
and then queen. Oh my god, he just.
But what was the move after queen?
Well, king
Was it
h8,
just-
queen
king
g6.
No, I meant rook d7, king g8, but then there was just queen f4.
Ah, okay, yeah, yeah.
That felt.
Yeah.
You get Wesley down in time like that, and those blunders can happen. That was uncharacteristic.
That turned
but
around quickly.
I'll take that.
Yeah, that went south fast. So an equal rook ending where it felt like Vidit was bailing out of a worse Catalan.
Vidit did it, but he did something very good there, though, Danny. He sacrificed the pawn
Yeah,
for that pattern, whatever it was he spotted. But
good practical
with,
recognition too to do it.
it was a good decision. The instincts
Yeah.
there to not
Yeah.
trade, because they could have just fizzled out into a drawn queen endgame.
Yeah.
And you decided not to. That was good. Oh, we still have a match here, ladies
Yeah,
and
we sure
gentlemen.
do. We still have a match. We've seen some pretty exciting finishes here in the bullet portion. Started off with a Najdorf win for Vidit, and then that surprising major piece endgame turned mating net for black.
It's not the first win he's had at endgame. He had the bishop endgame earlier, so just survive until there's no time on the clock. Put on a little bit of pressure.
Okay, but he's I don't think we've had a single game where he was under time pressure besides that last one where he ultimately lost with the passed c pawn. But Vidit is up on time.
Vidit and Anish work closely together, and they're both very quick in bullet. I'm noticing some parallels.
Yeah.
With their clock management and obviously repertoires, but these guys avoid time trouble. They're very good at that.
Yeah. Well, the 3-minute
not
portion
another-
was definitely Wesley So's portion from start to finish, as Hikaru predicted. But again, Vidit has proven to be a force in bullet.
This is not the position you want to be in against Wesley.
Yeah.
Weaknesses everywhere.
You even
Open
take on
A file for
d5 and
West.
play bishop b4.
You could. You have all the options. This is
Bishop's,
almost tempting to play.
I almost wanted to play
E6 there.
e6 instead, right?
And you would have had an argument for that.
Yeah, and the reason, everyone, is now this pawn is blockaded by the queen sitting tight here, and
Okay, rook f8. I like this. Wesley's probably going to play f3 and bail out because you don't want to allow queen h3 and pieces.
yeah, I mean,
to
if
start
you allow
to-
black to get f3, that's what you didn't get yourself with e6 to open
Right.
up your dark squares.
So F3,
Ooh, you gonna allow it?
you can allow. Well, the queen g5 check maybe is like things will be traded off. So
Okay.
I don't want to play f3 yet. I want to keep the pressure.
I wanna bring my
Rook.
queen into
This
h3
is
so
good.
bad. There he
There
goes.
you go. There you
I
go.
want it on h3. It's coming to g2.
Bishop takes.
You can't play f3 because queen g5 would be mate.
I was about to blunder that.
Okay.
Wesley's like, you can play f3. I have it all calculated.
Yeah,
He's right
he's,
there.
Wesley
There
is
actually is
all over
not
it.
time.
Okay, now the queen can
There
come
is
back
no
to
time.
h3 though. Even rook g6 is met by king h7. There's nothing there. Wesley under time pressure. 10 seconds. Okay, now he's bailing out, as you said, but rook g6. Oh, he has rook takes h6. I didn't see it.
Yeah, and then he's starting rook h8 mate.
And you can't play rook takes f3.
Oh, but just check, check, take, and bishop c5.
Oh, he had
That's
bishop.
over.
He also
That's
had rook
over.
takes f8 and bishop c5, but
Yes.
he did find a way. Vidit kind of grimacing, Wesley laughing. Happy he was able to pull it off. Glad to see him in all smiles today. Again, it's his birthday, and there's a whole lot of fun going on with the hashtag SpeedChess on Twitter. We're not going to get away from this action right now, but if you want to go check it out, get involved in our one-year Diamond Membership Photoshop contest. Remember, any final bits or donations go to the players' pockets, everyone, as we see some exciting chess here. Another e4 game, but this time a Petrov.
Yeah, I'm not familiar with a3 before h3 here. Well, I understand why, but black seems to have a very active Petrov, although I guess Vidit had a concrete reason. Aha!
Ooh, I love this.
Fabiano took this pawn structure and beat
Yeah,
Vichy with black earlier this year.
I love
This is
this.
a fashionable way of treating it. I like it as well.
The double
We
pawns are so
Knight
useful
takes
here,
c5 and then
controlling so
d4.
many critical
Wesley is
squares.
trading things off. Danny, I don't like it anymore.
Oh, that's a piece.
I've
That
hopped off. Well, he's just trading off material, but then there goes White's firepower with the F file and then the space. Now it's not as fun. C5, Queen will go to E6. Black is completely okay here.
black is
Put my
okay. Yeah, and the d4 pawn is the biggest target for the dark square bishop on e7, maybe even a d8 to b6 relocation.
Wesley's gonna get shots against White's loose position here. I mean,
Yeah,
whether that's bishop h4, whether that's f6, whether that's doubling on the c file, but you're just stuck
yeah.
with weak central pawns.
And you're looking at the risk of this approach, right? We were excited on the double D pawns and talked about Fabiano's approach, everyone, but the risk of opening your king in this way and not being able to keep the center closed is now you've got all kinds of targets to worry about. Okay, Vidit defending though. I like rook b5. He'll take on e5 and then try to use the f and e files for counterplay. Wow.
King h1.
King h1, play it.
I'm looking at King h1 because
Play
I don't
it.
see King h1. I think you got to play King h1. I don't see. Oh well, now.
I think he could have gotten away with it.
Queen f7. Queen f7.
Queen f7.
That's a nice
Oh
find.
my gosh! And look at the queen can't guard the bishop. There's no
Oh,
queen.
but there's no
before.
mate. Oh, there's. Wait a second. We're so used to there being a back rank.
What is going on here? G5 and G6 now?
Well,
Okay.
G5. I'll just take that.
Okay.
No, this is
Shocking.
what?
Shocking. There's no
He's
put
gonna get
away.
mated. Queen e2 check. He's gonna get mated somewhere here.
Okay. The king
Or
is
he's gonna
got his running shoes on. Maybe we get one of those surprise draws here with Perpetual, unless Vidit. Okay. I think he has to go king f5 or king h5.
King f5, Queen h1 check.
Queen d1 backs up. Notice that the queen guards f2, so that stops the bishop from coming in, everyone. And I guess that was kind of the key for Vidit to be holding that. Wow. Okay, well, there you go. The match continues. We have 8 minutes left, so I'm gonna call it now. We're in that territory. It's win or go home. Time for Vidit to
And he's playing the
score.
Benko. That's a solid choice for a must win.
Yeah, and he knows.
Wesley.
And Wesley is just having fun today.
E4. This is good.
Wesley is just all smiles right now, having a blast on his birthday.
Yeah, it really makes me wonder what he got for his birthday that he's
I
smiling
know.
so
What's
much.
he so happy about? I mean, he's winning this match. It's a pretty
What did he
good.
receive that got him so yeah. And
But all right, he's all in here. This isn't a trying to protect your lead strategy here in the match. This is Wesley saying, "I'm going to mix it up right along with you, and we're going to have some fun chess here." This should be an exciting
bishop
finish.
f6, knight to c7, take on a6. As long as you don't get mated as black here, you're going to get at least some counterplay.
Yep. Bishop takes a6, knight g5, trading, and then you got to take on g5. I think because e6 is kind of a
Do you play
problem.
knight c7 first?
I think
Okay,
he'll play.
knight c7.
Oh,
I guess not.
you want? Let's some kind of counterplay.
I guess he's just trying to survive, but I think objectively Wesley's come out
doing fine.
doing
Yeah.
well from this opening here. He's got the attack. His king is safe on f1, open position.
No, I agree.
Mm.
I didn't expect that to happen when Wesley.
Rook to g4. And you have some serious issues here.
Look at that. Laughs in the face of discovered check. We might regret it.
I mean, everything's falling here.
This is crazy. Okay,
Oh,
knight d7. He's developing.
Benko players are really suffering watching this one.
Yeah. What happened here? Rook a4. Are you
at
kidding
least
me? It
all
hangs
this-
a rook.
Oh,
Oh, wait. Oh, Vidit a little frustrated with that one. Wesley, again, remains all smiles, and I think we're almost in range here to depending on how quickly this game ends in the next minute, to say
Well,
the birthday boy's going home with a
I
victory.
was gonna say if you're in a must-win situation in Bullet, you don't have to play the Catalan. You can play something else and go for something a little quicker, because you just don't have time for these long endgame grinds anymore. So
Yeah.
at least here you can try to castle early, go for a quick d5 move at some moment. He's looking to open up. If you take rook d1, e4, d4, shove.
Shove time. Go for it. You got to play d5. You got to open up the position while Black's king is in the center.
Yeah, instead it looks like Wesley just got everything he's wanted though. Castle, developed pieces.
Hit b4, bishop
We've
b2.
just landed into a very symmetrical position where White's actually behind in development.
Yeah, Black is actually going to be really aggressive here. Look at Wesley. He says, I can take it all. And I don't even care about your threat on my queen.
Because you can't play
You can't
f4
play
because
f4 because it's
pinned.
pinned. Wow.
Okay, take on f6 at least. Maybe not.
Take on
No,
f6
maybe.
takes.
I don't have a follow-up. I give up. Take on f6 and play bishop e4.
You got to play something like knight c3
Bishop,
to try to get the rook to h1.
but you gotta bishop.
Right, why not knight
Yeah.
c3 and then I try to bishop e5 maybe.
Yeah, bishop e5 and f5 with tempo. I'm a little worried about you get the bishop e5 and you just play like king h8 and rook g8. And,
Yeah.
but he's gonna go for it.
Yeah, I think it makes sense. You got to try to get to the h file.
We're gonna see the king h8 real soon. Maybe queen d8 first. Oh no, he's just gonna. Wesley's just gonna beat him back with
okay,
a broom.
I thought he was gonna.
Yeah.
I don't know what his plan was. I thought he was all in on knight h7, but no. King h1. That's surprising. Wants to keep the rook on the c file, I guess, to come into c7 instead of rook h1.
Queen e3. That's good. You want to edge towards those dark squares that are around Black's king.
Yep.
Knight g5 doesn't quite work because of queen h6. So that was a very timely move by Wesley. Queen g7. There we go. G2 is
G2's
being
a problem.
threatened.
Goes the diagonal. This is a
Wesley's
bit of a clinic.
The bishops, yes.
Yeah, this is how you use your king when it becomes open. You slide over, you get a rook on the g file, and you let the bishops do the talking. This is a great game right now by Wesley, and Vidit is already under 10 seconds. Okay, queen g2 check is the only move. Now you have to play bishop f1, I think. Yeah, he finds it.
Oh no, not e3. The knight's protected, but down a pawn.
Now e3.
And the bishops are huge here.
Just gets the queens off the board. Simplification.
Wesley doesn't even need to win. He's going to win this probably, but
yeah.
It's just taking all the time off the clock. And he's going to win, but
simplification killed the cat. In this case, did a Gujarati. It's over. Too many pawns on too many sides of the board, even for an obstacle bishop ending. And
yeah. That's going to be it. Well, Wesley is definitely a different beast. I mean, this is a new experience for Vidit. But like last time, he did very well in the bullet portion. Today,
not so much.
Not so much. He's got to work a little harder.
With 2 minutes left, I think it's pretty safe to say the birthday boy. Moving on, he will be facing the young Polish monster, if that's what he's called. I think these days, that being young Krzysztof Duda. That's it's coming up.
That should be a good one.
Yeah.
People who put pressure on Wesley. It features when people are aggressive against Wesley. It showcases their ability and also showcases Wesley's ability to, rise to the occasion and counterattack. And calculate. So it brings the best out of.
I expect that match to be very, very close. Jan Krzysztof Duda versus Wesley So. Of course, we have Nakamura versus MVL in less than 2 days from now. But what questions do we have here for our players? I think that obviously for Vidit, feels like maybe he didn't change the tempo enough to bring enough pressure to Wesley. Okay, it's easier for us to say, but we can just ask him how difficult he feels the matchup was to play someone like Wesley, who's just so well versed in the Catalan, just like he is, and the
Yep.
difficulties that kind of poses. So it'll be
I
interesting.
mean, he gave himself some opportunities there. I mean, even the Catalan, he got us a couple wins there early on, and there's no guarantee to get any win against Wesley in any opening.
Right.
On the black side of things, that variation was, every loss mattered, and he lost 2 games where he was always suffering in them, and that was probably a wrong choice, or he'll regret that. But otherwise, he had his chances,
Yep.
and he somehow was just not finding the moves that put enough pressure on Wesley. He definitely didn't maximize his best positions, I think.
Well, this will be a fun last game to bring us home. The match is officially over, though this game does count toward the final score. Every game worth, about $100 at this point, based on the fact that the prizes of this format, for those of you who don't know, are based on both winning the match and then extra cash given based on win percentage. And in this case, fortunately for Vidit, that's not helpful. So thanks, Danny. Well, it was still. Oh, the next game that counts is not one that does count, and so we will abort the game. We can do things like that with the server and congratulate our players and bring them on to join us here in just a moment. And we now have Vidit with us here, and we're waiting for Wesley to unmute his camera and take a seat. Just a moment. Well, Vidit, we have you here with us, and we'll start with you. We hope you're.
Oh, thank you, but
Oh, there he is. There's Wesley.
at the beginning of this Catalan, I lost like 3 games there.
Wesley.
Like I keep playing into his preparation. I thought I can hold it, but somehow he keeps beating it there.
We're eavesdropping on
Wesley told me not to play
Hey,
it
Wesley.
again. I avoided that. With the mute button.
You're here, Wesley. We can hear you.
Hi, Danny.
Hey,
Wesley.
Vidit, you're here as well?
Yeah.
Well, we heard Wesley talking just now about a bit of the Catalan battle that you two were engaging in today. And so, Vidit, Eric and I were speculating during this match. Obviously, it's a very difficult situation to play someone who kind of shares such a key part of your opening repertoire. And we wondered at some point if you guys were just going to make this into a Catalan theoretical match. But did you feel in hindsight that this was still the best approach you could take, or that maybe mixing it up and creating some more, crazy positions like that Sicilian you won with to start the bullet portion may have been something you should have tried earlier? And what were your thoughts on playing a player like Wesley in an opening that is something that you both share as a big part of your repertoire?
Yeah, I played this open Spanish, which was pretty passive for blitz. And even though portions were equal, it was a little bit unpleasant to play. So I should have changed earlier to some kind of Sicilian. And yeah, it was he always had like this 1 or 2 point lead. It was quite annoying. So yeah, I think I should have switched earlier to some Sicilian or something and try to complicate the game with black itself.
Okay. Wesley, what were your thoughts on 2 of the only losses you had in the match were on the black side of the Catalan in this variation where you sacrifice a pawn for compensation on the D file. What was your challenge there for Vidit? You were trying to prove black was okay in that position, and what was your thought there?
Yeah, I think I lost 3 games in this Catalan variation. Well, I was working with this line before with the German Grandmaster, and okay, don't mention. I'm sorry. Well, and so I was surprised that Vidit went for the exact same line. I knew black was slightly worse in this position, but I was quite confident that I would hold it, so I keep repeating it for like the first few games. but then somehow Vidit knew this position very well. And in the first game, in the line where it went e4, f4, e5, I haven't analyzed e5 very much, very deeply. Like, I didn't expect that move. I think that was already move 20 something.
Right.
And yeah, so it makes a lot of sense to play a different line, because simply for blitz, it's very difficult to hold a passive endgame.
Well, Vidit, do you also have a German Grandmaster in your pocket with the preparation and the Catalan there? Because you seemed very confident in that line as well.
No, I was all alone. Actually, it was funny because I was not feeling so well the last couple of days, but I decided, okay, I should prepare. I mean, at least a little bit. And this was the only line which I managed to check last night, and that was it. That was my preparation. Maybe I should have checked a little bit more with black as well. It would have been. It would
Yeah,
have
at
been.
one point, sorry, at one point I thought we were all gonna play Catalan with both colors.
Right.
So
We thought so too. We thought so too. And
yeah, if I'm white, then the c5 Catalan, and if I'm black, then this quick castle and d4. But I thought the match would get pretty boring, and the problem was I couldn't hold anyway with the black pieces.
right.
So I think I messaged you, Danny, that I was gonna play the Grunfeld more. From this Catalan. And actually, in the end, I think in the 3-minute portion, I decided to play the Catalan one more time, just to be stubborn, but I lost again.
Right. Well, I mean, thanks for both you guys sharing so openly with us, and I think it was really interesting, especially for those. Sometimes in these blitz formats, you don't always have as many theoretical or instructive takeaways for even some of the strongest players watching. But I think it was really instructive to see you guys trying to go back to the well, maybe try to repeat and improve, and especially for those who maybe share some openings with you guys. So, Eric, what other questions did you have for our players here?
Well, yeah, I was remembering the 3-minute portion. It seemed like Vidit started playing a little bit faster. He got some good positions in that area, but just didn't get any wins until the very, very final game, even though there were a lot of slightly better positions. I was wondering what Vidit thought of that portion, because it felt like there were some missed opportunities there of either keeping pieces on the board or getting the game to go a little bit longer and put some pressure when there's only 10, 15 seconds on the clock. But just a lot of those games, Wesley found a way to trade almost everything off and escape, because just notice you were playing faster. You had a 30, 40-second lead in a few games, but didn't get any wins, which must have been pretty frustrating.
Yeah, I think I was playing pretty well in 5+1 and 3+1, and I think the score was always like 1 or 2 points, 2 points lead or something for it. But in the end, it got annoying, and I started going a little bit berserk, trying to somehow complicate, and it started to get on my nerves that I'm trailing for a long time, I think. And if I just played normally, maybe I had some more chances to come back.
So was your biggest regret those 2 games in the Open Spanish that were like, what would you think is like the biggest thing you'd probably change?
Yeah, I mean, after losing one game, I should have realized that, okay, this line is not working for blitz. Maybe it might be okay, but it's not working over here, so I should have switched. And then I realized that once I went Sicilian, Wesley stopped playing e4. So it would have been nicer that he stopped playing e4 earlier. So
yes,
that's been the trick.
Well, you said maybe you feel like you were going a little berserk too early, but Eric and I were maybe feeling that in some of those games where Wesley just has the ability to find the best defense, the most accurate way to kind of get out of those slightly worse positions despite being under time pressure. Do you feel like maybe some of those games got away from you, that maybe you should have just played faster and try to get him under time pressure and not try to find the best move against Wesley? Or what is the right blitz strategy against someone like Wesley who defends so well?
Yeah, before the game, I had asked Anish, what are your suggestions? And he said that don't be yourself.
Classic Anish.
So I was trying to not be myself, but it didn't work out.
Well, so you have a Dutch Grandmaster there giving you, really, really encouraging pep talks. We love Anish for
Yeah,
that. But
you can see how
uh,
motivated it is.
but you guys
Well,
have both. This,
if you ask Anish, he'd recommend to play the Berlin and Petrov and make a quick draw.
yeah, exactly. Anish would tell you to play the Berlin over and over. But thank you guys both for being so fun today. Wesley, again, while we have you, of course, we have to wish a happy birthday again. And I'm gonna say that we had a fun contest today where we told our members that they could have some fun photoshopping you into some birthday scenarios. So what are you going to do for your birthday now that obviously the biggest goal of your birthday has already been had, which is that you won the speed chess match. So what are you going to do with the rest of your birthday?
Well, it's 11 in the evening here, and Lotus prepared something special for my birthday.
Okay.
Well, today when I woke up, she made a birthday cake. She bought a birthday cake with candles on it, and it was really special.
Cool.
And then for lunch, we went out in a fancy restaurant, and we had a great meal. And we also had another birthday, a really amazing molten lava cake.
That sounds
So,
delicious. Now I'm getting hungry. Well,
You had the cake before the match.
what?
You had the cake before the match?
Yeah, before the match,
Ah.
preparation for it.
Yes.
well,
Sometimes it can backfire, but it sounds like it was good. Eating too much cake.
we have our obligatory question before we send you guys off about how you feel looking ahead at the Speed Chess Championship bracket, how you feel about your next opponent, Wesley. But before we get to that, the next tournament before either of the matches in the Speed Chess semifinals take place is that both of you are playing in the first ever Tata Steel tournament in India coming up in November. What are your thoughts on playing each other in that format, and what are your thoughts on playing in that event?
Well, first of all, I'm really excited to play in India in Calcutta. I've only been there once 7 years ago. And Lotus and I really wanted to go because it's such a special place and it's where Mother Teresa worked. So it's going to be a really tough competition. I think it's the world versus top Indian grandmasters. I think the format is quite the same as in the Grandchester. It's going to be really tough, and before the tournament, I'm gonna have to play a lot of rapid and blitz games, and I think it's time to play fast again.
Well, Vidit, on that note, you are one of those top Indian players versus the world that Wesley mentions. What does it mean to you to have such a strong super tournament? The Tata Steel Chess name, obviously associated with Viking Z for so many years, and such a great event. So, how excited are you for that event and your chance to maybe have a rematch with Wesley?
Yeah, definitely. I'm looking forward to it, and yeah, I think this speeches match was a good practice for the Calcutta tournament. And Tata Steel and Calcutta, both these things have been lucky for me so far. So yeah, hopefully I'll do well because that's a good opportunity for me, and I'll try to make the maximum of it.
Well, great. All right. Well, we wish you both of luck with that. And last question, Wesley, before we go, it's time to talk Speed Chess Championship bracket. You will be facing the young, rising Polish superstar, young Krzysztof Duda, who helped his teammates in the Olympiad recently deliver the USA one of their only losses. So, what are your thoughts on facing young Krzysztof in the semifinals?
Well, he's really good. He's improving very quickly. Had a phenomenal performance in the Olympiad, and in the speed chess, he did really well too. He beat one of the favorites to win the tournament, Sergei Karyakin, and he beat Alexander Grischuk, who was the semifinalist last year. So it can be really tough. I really want to beat him, but I don't know. I have only played Duda a few games in my career. I played him in Leon 4 times in rapid, so I'm not exactly sure what to expect from him. He's a young up-and-coming player, and he's played really well recently. So I'm going to have to look at his games and study, try to create some good strategy.
Okay. Well, we're excited either way. Of course, we look forward to that match taking place on either November 30th or December 1st. So, still to be announced. And no more questions, I don't think, for either of you. Thank you so much for being awesome here and for sharing everything you did with us. And we'll look. We look.
Happy birthday! You're getting old.
I'm getting old. That's right. I didn't think you were going to tell people that on air, but yeah, I am getting old. I have a birthday here, not too long away from Wesley, but you and I are the same age, right? I was I was actually.
I thought you were younger.
I was actually scrolling through some old pictures of, and remembering the Spice Cup, and when we were both really little. So anyway, but thank you both.
Thank you.
Eric, I don't have any other
guys.
questions, and I think we can send them off. And we're gonna take a quick break, and then Eric and I are gonna be right back and give you some of our thoughts on the matchup on Thursday, and maybe give our opinion on Wesley versus young Christoph. So don't go anywhere, everybody. We're gonna take a quick break and be right back. Well, all right, Eric, as promised, we're going to do another 60 seconds here and thank all of those that are still with us right now. So give us your quick thoughts on what we're going to see on Thursday. Of course, it's Chessbrah week here at the Speed Chess Championship. Your bearded soulmate, as I like to call him, Amon Hamilton, will be joining me on Thursday. Now as a Grandmaster, his first time doing commentary for the SCC as a Grandmaster. So what does MVL need to do to beat Hikaru Nakamura in this format?
That is a very, very good question because this is one of the intriguing matchups where MVL is like really, really good, one of the best in the world, but he statistically scores quite poorly against Hikaru, more than, let's say, ratings might indicate. I think, I definitely think, I don't know what the tilt factor is like, but Hikaru racks up wins and wins. And I think that if he may need to develop some, I mean, I hope he has some backup weapons because he often has a fairly narrow repertoire when it comes to that. But otherwise, this is a puzzle. I when I see MVL and I see him play Hikaru, it's like two guys butting heads. They're both very tactical, both very fast. It all looks fairly even on paper, except the actual head-to-head.
Right.
But otherwise, they have a lot of similar strengths. They're very, very resourceful, very good at calculating. And I think in this case, MVL might have to be the one who transitions the match.
That's an interesting point about their styles and just maybe MVL plays worse head-to-head because we've done a lot of analysis and shown via some of our own cap systems and measuring accuracy of a player against themselves for getting their opponent, and we've seen that Hikaru can actually play worse when he plays Magnus. I wonder if it's similar in the sense that stylistically, despite what it should be, we would think a closer match. Maybe stylistically, Hikaru is just a really tough opponent for Maxime. But all right, well, thanks for the thoughts, man. I can't wait for the semifinals of this year. Thanks for being with us. Obviously, I'm gonna let you get the door. Whoever's there, you've had a busy day there.
You know what happened is our door is stuck, so we've been locked on the inside.
You keep getting locked out.
Wait, no, locked on the inside. We can't actually get out. So Jaren,
do I need to call anybody?
No, we got someone, but we actually, that's, apologies for the noise.
No, it's okay. I was just teasing you.
I've never had that we were actually locked. We can't get out.
But at least you're locked in and you don't have someone locked in your closet or anything. So that's good. You passed that test. All right, man. We'll see him on Thursday. Thank you, everybody. Stick around. Don't go anywhere. Grandmaster Daniel Naroditsky, one of the new kind of growing Twitch streamers here, obviously a very, very strong Grandmaster, he's going to be hanging around and playing some Blitz for all those of you who hadn't have enough chess yet. Congratulations one more time to Wesley So, as Eric Hansen and I bid you adieu.